The woman waved her head powerlessly and slowly said, 21 years ago, I went to Beijing myself. I was a few months pregnant back then, and I tried to find the man who ditched me. He knew I was pregnant, but just left me some living fees and ignored me. I stayed in Beijing a while, and finally knew he was the elder son of a big family and had a wife. His son was already over 10. I was really sad and angry at the same time, and that caused me to fall ill. The woman waved her head powerlessly and slowly said, 21 years ago, I went to Beijing myself. I was a few months pregnant back then, and I tried to find the man who ditched me. He knew I was pregnant, but just left me some living fees and ignored me. I stayed in Beijing a while, and finally knew he was the elder son of a big family and had a wife. His son was already over 10. I was really sad and angry at the same time, and that caused me to fall ill. Mom. The girl grabbed the woman's hands and worriedly called out. The woman on the bed had melancholic eyes as she continued, At that time, I lived in a temple. The head monk was very nice, and he got doctors to save me, but I lost the child in my stomach. Hearing this, the girl was more anxious. Her mother lost her child. Who was she then? The woman seemed to know what the girl was thinking and sadly said, At that time, I rather died than lived. Although my body recovered, but I had no desire to live. The head monk saw my desolation and tried to convince me. Later, when I was fully recovered, I wanted to become a nun. But at this moment, the head monk brought a girl that was barely 1. He said someone left her at the door of the temple. The girl seemed to have understood something. Her face was pale. Was it not her mother in front of her? Sai Beiwei, you are not my biological daughter. I don't know who your parents are either. At that time, the head monk just brought a jade bracelet and said 2 children were brought to the temple, but I don't know where the head monk sent the other. I was troubled at heart then and didn't ask. I heard the child was taken away by a young couple that came to burn incense. Mom. The girl's eyes were red and swollen as she grabbed the woman's hand and said, Mom, no matter what, you are my mother. You are my only kin in this world. The woman caressed the girl's hand amiably and said, Beiwei, I might not live for long, remember. That temple is called Luohong Temple. The head monk is called Wu Shan. When you go to Beijing, you need to go look. Then, when the woman was about to fall asleep, the girl quickly positioned the woman well and stood up. She didn't care about her birth. She just wanted to gather money to treat her mother. May I ask, are you Tin Beiwei? A middle-aged man walked into the room and asked. Tang Beiwei looked up with confusion at the man and nodded. Yes, what's the matter? The middle-aged man showed an amicable smile and said, I have some things to discuss with you privately. Do you have the time? Tang Beiwei frowned. She had never seen this person before, but she didn't mind talking to him privately since she had nothing at hand. It was 3 at night, and Yimo's car had arrived at a private mansion near Wuliang Mountain. What Yimo didn't expect was that this was the nest of Jing Shi. Despite Jing Shi saying this was her relative's place, Yimo didn't believe it at all. This woman thought of him as an idiot. Since he came, he would keep notice of Jing Shi all the time, even when she showered. This wasn't the time to be a gentleman. He knew that this Jing Shi might be suspicious of him a little. Regardless, he couldn't relax. He must say that although she wasn't young, she still kept her looks as though she was a girl in her 20s. When she took off her clothes, her curves were very distinct, and her skin was milky white. The 2 big boobs on her chest didn't sag down at all. It was strangely tall standing. Yimo carried this woman before and knew how smooth and elastic her skin was. Sometimes, Yimo even doubted himself, thinking perhaps Jing Shi was only 20. And he saw that most of her wounds had formed scabs, meaning her powder was quite potent. She was very precise when taking a shower, rubbing herself carefully and even looking at herself in the mirror. Yimo thought that this woman really loved beauty, but she was beautiful indeed. Looking at a naked woman showering with his spirit sense, even though he knew she was quite old and ruthless, he couldn't help but feel a little aroused. Just when Yimo thought nothing would happen and was about to take back his spirit sense, the nun started to feel her waist. It was the place Yimo tipped the powder. Yimo immediately began to worry. Was she that smart? Did she notice he did something there? Jing Shi put her finger on it, felt it, and then smelt her finger. Yimo saw her frown and his heart started to beat faster. thinking this nun was so astute. However, he felt slightly relieved. She eventually didn't do anything out of the ordinary. She also took off her hand and felt it before carefully putting it aside. She seemed to treasure that band a lot. Suddenly, Jingxi stopped all her movements and looked alert everywhere. Yimo was sure that she was sensitive to his spirit sense again, so he quickly took it back. "Dahu, are you there?" Yimo heard the nun call out in the living room. He knew the nun didn't feel safe about him and wanted to confirm where he was. He answered without hesitation. Then, he finally felt relieved. Luckily, she didn't feel his spirit sense, or he would have been exposed. Soon, she finished her shower and saw Yimo was still at the living room. She embarrassingly said, "I was a little afraid by myself, so I called out to you." Yimo smiled naively and said, "Don't worry, I'm going to sleep first." However, he was more careful. This nun was too alert. He was worried she would try something with him tomorrow. It would be best he left a mark on her tonight. And, when he helped her rub on the powder, the killing intent in her eyes were raw. This meant that in her eyes, people's lives were no different than grass. Yimo cultivated for half the night and woke up very early and made breakfast. Then, he waited for Jingxi. Jingxi woke up and saw the congee and small dishes were very exquisitely made. She approved of Yimo's diligence and organization. This youth was not bad. She even didn't want to kill him. However, those who saw her skin must die no matter what. Seeing how he's so nice, she would let him die easier. "Sister Zir, I cooked some congee. You haven't recovered yet. Eat some." Yimo took a bowl and chopsticks for Jingxi. "Its tastes not bad, thank you, Dahu." Jingxi felt that this congee was good indeed. Yimo naively smiled and said, "It's nothing, as long as you like it. I can cook more for you." Jingxi suddenly felt dazed. Why did these words sound so familiar? Many years ago, that man also said that, "Sister Zir, as long as you like it, I can stay with you every day." But then, after he saw her Shijie, he gradually distanced himself from her and slept with her Shijie. This be *th couple. So what if she harmed her Shijie? That man still looked at the place her Shijie went into solitary training every day. Jingxi's face gradually grew bleak. Yimo didn't expect his words to make the nun's face so bleak. He thought to himself that this woman was really unpredictable. Yimo was scared that she was suddenly going to attack and his plan would be spoiled. So he quickly said, "Sister Zir, hurry and eat. It's getting cold." "I don't want to eat it. Dahu, wait here for me today. I'll go back and tell my master. If my master is willing, I'll come back and pick you up." Jingxi stood up and said. Yimo's heart sunk. This woman didn't take him as he expected. She really was bad. "Cross the river and take apart the bridge." He stood up worriedly and said, "Sister Zir, but I also want to see." Jingxi smiled sweetly and pointed at his head with her finger. "Dahu, would I lie to you? Trust me, I'll come pick you up at night and let my master see you once at least." Yimo knew it was no point talking anymore and just tried to make a mark on her and follow. Thinking about this, he walked hopefully with a blushed face. "Sister Zir, you're really pretty. I want to hug you." Huh. Jingxi was shocked by Yimo's request. The honest Dahu in her eyes dared to make such a request. She suddenly remembered when she took a shower last night and felt someone was peeking. Was it him? But she could tell he hadn't practiced ancient martial arts before. If he was peeking, how could she not know? But what if it was him peeking? Thinking about this, Jingxi looked at the hopeful Yimo and realized he was a very handsome man. The features on his face were distinct, and his eyes were very clean. Looking at Yimo, Jingxi felt a sense of familiarity. That time, he also looked at her hopefully like this, saying, "Sister Zir, you're really pretty. I want to hug you." Is it him? Jingxi had this sense of fire in her heart. Ever since that man appeared, she had never felt like this before. Yimo saw that Jingxi looked at him dazed. He thought not good. He couldn't wait for her to reject. If she did, it would be impossible for him to hug her and make the mark. Yimo decisively walked up and hugged Jingxi, who was already a little blushed on the face. Jingxi's heart was already racing, and Yimo just suddenly hugged her like this. Just when she wanted to rage, she felt that masculine scent of yang, and her body softened. Yesterday, when Yimo carried her for 2 hours, there was only killing intent in her heart, but now she actually felt a little lustful. Jingshi's heart was already racing, and Yimo just suddenly hugged her like this. Just when she wanted to rage, she felt that masculine scent of yang, and her body softened. Yesterday, when Yimo carried her for 2 hours, there was only killing intent in her heart, but now she actually felt a little lustful. Yimo immediately felt Jingshi's heart starting to feel hot and soft. He didn't think of anything else and quickly made a spirit sense mark on her clothes. It was very fast and he was done. Then, he felt relieved and let go of his hand, but noticed that Jingshi had closed her arms around his waist. Her eyes seemed strange. Was this woman aroused? Yimo felt shocked, and just when he wanted to talk, he saw Jingshi, with misty eyes and breathing heavily, say, "Brother Chia, carry me into the room." She was aroused indeed and thought of him as her brother Chi. Yimo didn't want to go in bed with this woman. If he lost his virginity to this ruthless nun, he would rather do it himself. Although the nun was very enticing and Yimo a bit aroused too, he once cultivated to foundation establishment. It wasn't the first time he was attracted to a woman. He could even resist Ning Qingxue, much less a nun that he didn't like. He was someone of principle. If he didn't like the person, he could still control such urges. However, Yimo wouldn't waste the opportunity. He reached his hand into Jingshi's hair and made another mark on her hair tie. Then, he shook Jingshi. "Sister Zier, are you okay?" Jingshi was just looking at the man of her dreams slowly walk towards her and hug her and saying all those lovely things in her ear. But just when she was aroused, she was woken up by Yimo. Jingshi immediately reacted. She looked at Yimo for a moment, but froze really quick. She let go of her hands and felt her hair. Then, her eyes were hateful again. As she stared at Yimo for a long while before saying, "To who?" Just then, "Oh, never mind. I'm going to rest. Wait for me to come back. Don't worry about my master. I won't treat you bad." Jingshi turned around, and when she walked out of the mansion, she even felt lost herself. She actually didn't get angry just then, nor did she kill Dahu. With her current recovery, it would be all too easy to kill a normal person. She shook her hand. Other than the man who betrayed her, it was the first time she showed mercy. Yulian said she killed that man, but only she knew she didn't. However, she did flirt with other men in front of him, but she killed them afterwards. Yimo followed carefully, but not daring to follow too close. She was already marked by him, so even if he didn't follow closely, he wouldn't lose her. Jingshi took out a phone and made a call. Yimo didn't even notice she had a phone when he carried her yesterday. This meant she took it last night. Yimo was too far and could barely hear the words, "Throw under the cliff." Despite not hearing her words clearly, he could guess it. This vicious woman was calling people to kill him and throw him under the cliff. Since she was calling people over, he couldn't keep following her and needed to wait for the men she called. Yimo came back to the mansion. He didn't wait long, and it was only an hour and a car drove here. A man in his 30s came out. He wasn't very sturdy looking, but Yimo could tell he was yellow-level elementary stage. "Are you Dahu?" the man asked Yimo. Yimo nodded. "Yeah. Who are you?" The man laughed and said, "I'm Tian Po. Zier Shermay told me to bring you up the mountain. Her master had agreed, but needs to check to see if you can cultivate. If you can't, then she can't do anything either." Yimo nodded. He knew the man came to kill him, but he also knew that he wouldn't be able to ask about anything useful from this man, so he didn't bother. Yimo didn't ask, and Tianpa spoke very little. The route he took was very steep. There weren't even roads in many places. After walking for nearly 2 hours, Tianpa brought Yimo to a cliff and said, "Brother, you've got quite good stamina." Yimo made a breathing action and smiled. "I'm okay. I used to climb mountains a lot." Then, Yimo scanned down the cliff with his spirit sense. He estimated it to be a few hundred meters tall, and it was steep like it was cut by a knife. Yimo just found a small protrusion at around 50 meters, but there were no landing spaces at around 100 meters. He couldn't scan any further. There's something here? Tianpo walked to the cliff and curiously spoke. Yimo also walked up while asking, "What is it? Let me see." And he intentionally gave his back to Tianpo, knowing that the latter was about to attack. As soon as Emo walked to the cliffside, Tianpei pushed on his back. Emo screamed and fell down like a shooting star. Emo calculated the position and tapped his feet at the 50-meter protrusion. Then, he immediately found there was a ditch 70 meters further down. Emo kept falling until he neared the ditch and used wind-controlling technique to go in. Then, he quickly took out the sword and dug the stone, hiding his body. As soon as Emo hid, Tianpei said from above, "Brother, don't blame me. I'm just following orders. Too bad you like the wrong person." Then, Tianpei picked up the phone and called, "It's done." "Oh, okay. I'll wait for you at Liangnon Cliff then." Emo heard and felt joyful. It seemed that none was coming. This was good. Otherwise, after Tianpei left, although he had spirit sense mark, it wouldn't be easy to find Jingxi. After all, the geology of Wuliang Mountain was too complicated, and he still couldn't fly yet. Emo didn't wait for long. It was only an hour before he heard Jingxi's voice. Unfortunately, he was more than 100 meters down and couldn't reach up with his spirit sense. "Very good, you did well. There's a basic cultivation method here. Take it." As soon as Jingxi finished speaking, Emo heard Tianpo's gratitude. Not long after, there was the exclamation of Tianpo, "Jingxi, you actually killed me, I..." Then, the sound suddenly stopped and Emo saw a figure fall down extremely fast. After a long while, he heard the thud from the bottom of the cliff. He thought this woman was really strong, but he couldn't understand why she didn't kill him herself. Why take all the trouble? He kept notice of the footsteps. As soon as Jingxi left, he would come up and follow her, but after a long while, Emo didn't hear her footsteps. He was bemused and thought to himself, did she leave? Just when Emo was confused, Jingxi's voice sounded again. "Dehu, although you saved me, you looked at my body. I swore that men who looked at my body will die, but I had feelings for you. Did you know? I really wanted to give myself to you that morning, but you woke up me. You really are dumb. Tianpa killed you, and I have avenged you. Rest in peace." Emo was so angry he almost spat blood. This woman was really shameless. It was she who called Tianpu to kill him now, yet she said it so modestly. What sort of revenge was this? "You say I'm very pretty. Do I really look pretty? But my heart is already taken by that man. Sorry, Dehu, perhaps I'll come see you when I'm free." Jingxi's voice stopped, and it was a long silence. Emo sighed. This woman was crazy, a completely mad woman. He was just worried for Luo Susu. Could she be well living with a crazy woman like this? It would be best if this madwoman had no connections with Luo Susu at all. Then after a while, when Emo was impatient, Jingxi suddenly started laughing hysterically. "Shijia, did you think you could avoid me after sending your daughter out and taking her back as your disciple? You never would have thought she will end up like you soon. Your daughter is really like you, not a good thing either. She just went out once and is thinking about men and can't even calm her heart down. Sometimes, I really want to see what sort of man your daughter loves. Shijia, do you know what I want to do the most? I want your daughter to see me with her man in bed. Too bad you're dead, if you didn't die. Would you be very shocked seeing the man your daughter love in bed with me? Although I stayed virgin for that bastard so many years, I don't mind giving my first time to the man of your daughter. Ha ha ha." Emo shook his head. This nun was really unreasonable. She lost in love but was dragging this onto the offspring of her Shijia. Now, she wouldn't even let go of her Shijia's daughter. She probably never lived outside. If she lived in the city, perhaps she would have killed herself in times due to loss of love. Emo thought and felt pity for this nun. She was a woman crazed with love, but just followed the wrong man. Just when Emo was getting impatient again, there was finally the sound of the nun leaving. Emo immediately got up and tapped multiple times on the smooth cliff face. With the help of wind-controlling technique, he came to the top of the cliff very fast. Looking at the something, he was stunned. Emo didn't expect Jing 11 to be so prepared. There was a burning basic ancient martial arts cultivation method and a wine bottle. There was a cup next to the wine bottle, which was filled. It seemed this nun kept to her promise and really got him a cultivation method. Emo didn't expect Jing 11 to be so prepared. There was a burning basic ancient martial arts cultivation method and a wine bottle. There was a cup next to the wine bottle, which was filled. It seemed this nun kept to her promise and really got him a cultivation method. F***CKEMO had black lines down his head. If others didn't know about the full story, they would have thought he was her man and accidentally fell off the cliff and she came to cry. Yemo kicked these things down the cliff thinking go sacrifice this to that Tianpo. After kicking these away, Yemo didn't dare to waste time and followed closely behind Jingxi. Although he didn't dare to follow too close, he wouldn't lose her with the spirit mark. The places she walked were all steep mountain roads. If Yemo didn't have wind-controlling technique or made the mark on her, he wouldn't be able to keep up. It was nearly 3 hours later, but Jingxi was still running in the mountain roads. Yemo was speechless. This serenity was really hidden deep. They had been walking for so long. It was another hour or so when Jingxi came to a cliff. It was covered in clouds. Yemo thought, did she want to suicide and jump? He jumped because he had wind-controlling technique. But even if this nun was Earth level, she would die jumping off now. Just when Yemo was still guessing, Jingxi sat down and after half an hour, she really jumped down. Yemo had a fright. Why did this woman run here to suicide? Was this place serenity? Yemo waited for a while and made sure he wouldn't be found before looking at the edge of the cliff. But soon, he understood. There were metal chains 10 of meters down, and it was covered by the clouds. When Yemo looked again, the metal chain had disappeared. What was this? He scanned down his spirit sense and felt the metal chain appear in his spirit sense again. He didn't know the end of it, but obviously, its length far exceeded the range of his spirit sense. The nun left along this chain. Yemo thought of Luo Susu. Did she have to go past this chain each time she came out? She was only yellow level, so it was very dangerous for her to come out. And he couldn't see the metal chain before and could only scan it with his spirit sense. This meant the metal chains were placed strangely, perhaps according to some formation allowing it to show sometimes under the sun. Yemo also understood now why Jingxi sat down for half an hour after coming. She was waiting for when the metal chain could be seen again. It seemed this chain could only been seen once in a while, and people could only jump when they could see it. Otherwise, if they misstepped, they would fall to death. It was a stone tunnel inside the cliff, and after walking for about 50 meters, the view opened up as he came out. There was a twisted valley road that extended in. Yemo walked a while and the grass and trees started appearing. There were even a few bunnies running across occasionally. Yemo sighed. Although this wasn't a small world like Dao Xian said, it was definitely well hidden. The ancestor of Serenity who moved the sect here was a genius. If only he had a place like this now. Yemo walked along the road for about an hour or so and came to the foot of a mountain. The region broadened up and he could still barely see the sky. There were many farmlands excavated out with vegetables planted in them. He walked along the mountain for a few hundred meters and a large pact of buildings appeared. The big front door had the huge word, serene. It seemed very ancient and calm. Yemo stopped walking. So this was Serenity. The environment seemed not bad, and it had the feeling of a paradise immortals lived in. What should he do next? Immediately go look for her, or make a plan first. Any nun who came out from Serenity like Jing, she was an Earth-level master, so Yemo didn't think he was invincible here. If that bunch old nuns were easy to talk to, it would be fine. If not, he could never return. They weren't easy to talk to for sure. Just look at Jingxi, that crazy woman. Yemo had the subconscious thought of not letting Luo Susu stay here. No matter what, he needed Luo Susu to agree. If she didn't want to leave, he had no choice either. After all, they only met once, so it could be said it was a single-sided love. He needed to go for sure, but before this, he needed self-protective measures. Otherwise, if he saw Jingxi, perhaps he would be thrown down the cliff before he saw Luo Susu. How could he protect himself? With his current power, he was still no match for Jingxi. Perhaps when he was at the tertiary level of stage 3, he could fight her, but now, he was only middle level. He had some simple techniques, but that wouldn't be a threat for that woman. And, perhaps this woman wasn't the strongest. He was a cultivator, and his only assurance where he could rely on was his techniques. It wasn't plausible to wait till his cultivation level got higher. The spirit chi here was so scarce. When would he be able to progress? Although he had the 1,000-year snow lotus seed in a cauldron, it wasn't so easy to concoct pills. Plus, even if he did, he needed time to digest them. The only thing he could rely on was his techniques, but a single fireball or wind blade wasn't quite useful. The only thing he could rely on was the element of surprise, but even that would only work once. What if he had large amounts of fireball and wind blade? Thinking about this, he had an idea. During battle, if he threw a large amount of fireball charms or wind blade charms, it would be like many of him fighting the one enemy. Although it was hard to make the fireball charm and the power would be half, there was power in quantity. Yes, he would use this hooligan way of fighting. Thinking about an earth level nun being surrounded by countless fireball and jumping up and down, Emo wanted to laugh. I'm a hooligan. How can I be scared of a few nuns? He fantasized a while and was troubled again. Runes were hard to make and costed a lot to produce. He fantasized a while and was troubled again. Runes were hard to make and costed a lot to produce. There were no demon beast blood here, but he could replace it with ferocious beast blood. The main thing was that it took too much time. Last time, Emo took a month to make 8 runes, but 8 weakened fireball runes wouldn't be able to do anything to that nun. Although it was related to his cultivation level at the time, Emo didn't think he could make very much a day. Emo thought for a long time and couldn't think of a better way to protect himself. He couldn't improve his power, so he could only improve his equipments. It seemed that he wouldn't be able to see Susu today, but it was fine that he knew she was here. He needed to go back and make some preparations. Thinking about this, Emo came back the way he came from. He decided to make runes first and bring large amounts of runes to find trouble with Jing Shi. He needed large amounts of money to make runes, but he didn't have much now. Last time, he cured Zhua Igwa's uncle's disease, but he was embarrassed to ask for money. Now, he realized how much he needed money. But Emo had some ways for getting beast blood. He searched Wuliang Mountain the entire night and hunted a leopard and a deer. Their blood was enough. Then, Emo left Wuliang Mountain and came to Yuan City. It wasn't too far from Wuliang Mountain. Emo bought large amounts of yellow biao paper and some red ink sand before buying a brush. He spent the only money he had on him. He wanted to call Erhu and ask if he had money, but thinking about it, Emo gave up the idea. He wasn't at Luotsang, and Erhu's business must not be going well. Perhaps they didn't even get one single order. This was possible. If Erhu knew he needed money, he would give Erhu mental burden. He should use up the materials he had first. Emo found a hotel and hung up the sign "Do Not Disturb" before starting to focus on making runes. Although his idea was good, reality disappointed him. After a whole day, he wasted 20 sets of materials but only made 6. Although it was countless times better than before, Emo was still very unhappy with the result. The second and third day were slightly better. He made 16 altogether, but he wasted more. If things continued like this, Emo felt it wasn't going to work out. First, he expended materials too fast. Second, it was too slow. The fourth day, the 100 sets of materials Emo prepared only had 20 left. He felt things weren't going to work. If he couldn't improve the means he made the runes, he would need to gather more money. Making runes was a money-burning thing. Tang Beiwei stared at the middle-aged man. His amicable face before became hideous in her eyes. She had never met him before, but he wanted her to trick someone she didn't know. A sense of disgust rose from her heart. Tang Beiwei couldn't even be bothered to look at the middle-aged man as she said, "Sorry, I'm not interested." Then, she turned to leave. The middle-aged man didn't even move as he slowly said, "According to what I know, if your mother doesn't have surgery soon, she would last half a month at most. Think about it. How hard was it for her to bring you up? When you're finally grown up, she needs to leave. If you don't have a way, never mind. But you do have a way to save her now, but you don't choose it. Ask yourself, are you treating her right?" "You." Tang Beiwei turned around and looked at the man in fury. "You want me to trick someone I don't know? I'm not treating my sense of moral right." "Humph," the middle-aged man sneered. "Do you think we can't choose other people? I'll be honest with you. I pity you. That's why I chose you. This is very simple. You just need to bring that man to a place, and you don't need to worry about the rest." This isn't tricking. If he really likes you, at most, you told him a lie once. Tang Beiwei's face changed drastically. She detested the man in front of her, but she knew he was saying the truth. If her mother didn't get surgery, she would last 2 weeks at most. Thinking about how her mom brought her up, pushing a small trolley to do business regardless of the wind or the rain, Tang Beiwei felt her heart was bleeding. She hesitated for a long time before asking, "Take him to where?" Yimo walked out of the hotel and pondered. There was a way to get money, but since Qingxue was living at Ninghai, she must not have much on her. How about he borrow some from Jingguan? She was a wealthy girl. Shouldn't it be a problem? But then it was hard for him to ask a girl for money. Yimo thought and still couldn't make up his mind. He took out a jade artifact and looked. He decided to go to the magic artifact shop and see if he could sell it for a good price. If no one could tell its worth, he would then borrow from Su Jingguan. On the opposite side of the street, a middle-aged woman pushed a small trolley with food. She was selling snacks for night. A car drove past quickly with the marking city management on it. She quickly packed up her stall, but she accidentally spilt all the sauces on the ground. The middle-aged woman looked anxiously as the car drove past. She gasped a sigh of relief and then slowly started to pick up the things on the ground. Although no one helped her, a girl in her 20s came in front of the stall and helped her pick things up. Yimo smiled and thought this girl had a good heart. The magic artifact shop wasn't far from Yimo's hotel. He just walked a few minutes and he already arrived. The place was a small building, but Yimo didn't feel any sense of spirit at all from afar. He knew it wasn't very good and hesitated if he could sell his jade. And, opposite this shop was a bar. From a business point of view, it was very unreasonable. "Sir, would you like to buy magic artifact?" As soon as Yimo walked in, a girl in her 20s came and asked. Yimo smiled / "I'll take a look first." "Okay, please take your time." The girl was very polite, but Yimo knew no matter how polite she was, not much customers would come if there were no real things. Yimo scanned and was disappointed. These were worse than the ones from the social night. It could be said none of them were real. In this situation, it would be impossible for the boss to pay him a high price. Yimo thought so, and he knew he shouldn't even bother. Just when Yimo turned his head and walked out of the shop, he saw the girl who helped the middle-aged woman pick things up being harassed into a bar by 2 youths who had their hair dyed like a ghost. The girl was struggling, so it was obvious she was being forced. Yimo frowned. This was a legal society, so how could this happen in broad daylight? Yimo knew about this, but it wasn't even dark yet. He had a good impression of this good-hearted girl and was prepared to help her throw the 2 youth away, but he scanned his spirit sense and stopped his actions. Although the girl was pulled in by the 2 youth and her head was low while struggling, Yimo could scan the corner of her eye. There was no fear nor anger and worry. Her eyes were full of guilt, deep guilt. She was being abducted but felt guilty? Yimo shook his head. He saw it clearly with his spirit sense. What was this? Her abnormal eyes made Yimo hesitate, so he didn't go up to save her. Yimo walked slowly towards the door of the bar, but kept his spirit sense to the girl. The 2 youth pulled her into a private room and slammed the door shut. Yimo didn't come save her. Tang Beiwei felt relieved but disappointed. The good-looking youth had such little courage. However, since he didn't take the bait, she couldn't be blamed. Rip, a large part of Tang Beiwei's top was ripped down, showing large pieces of snowy white skin. "Stop, what are you doing? Stop." Tang Beiwei's eyes showed worry. Wasn't this an act? Why was it real now? Haha, stop, do you think someone Wang Xianxian, is interested and can run away? A small door opened in the room and a youth walked out. Tang Beiwei angrily broke free of one hand and said, "I had a business deal with Wei Yongqian. He told me to come and act. Let me go." "Haha, act." Wang Xianxian laughed again. "Do you like acting? Very well, Lang Pai, show something. Let me and this chick watch while we act." "This watery-eyed girl, my money is well spent." The red-haired youth that grabbed Tang Beiwei agreed and let her go. Then, he took out a remote and the TV immediately showed a pair of nude male and female, yelling and moaning. Just when Yimo was suspicious, he saw the girl had a large piece of her clothes ripped off and her eyes started becoming fearful and worried. It was no longer the guilt from before. What was this? Did he see wrong before? Just when Yemo was suspicious, he saw the girl had a large piece of her clothes ripped off and her eyes started becoming fearful and worried. It was no longer the guilt from before. What was this? Did he see wrong before? At this moment, Tang Beiwei realized she might have been sold, and Yemo didn't follow her. The people in here were being real. There was no doubt about it. She broke free of one person and rushed to the door. Wang Xianxian quickly came up and pulled her. You want to go? I've paid money. You haven't paid for that yet. Don't think about running. Animal, let me go if you pull me again. I'm going to call the police. Why was she so stupid? She was tricked to a city she had never been before to trick someone else. Was this karma? Rip. Another piece of her clothes was ripped off, and her face was now full of despair. Brother Wang, enjoy her first. We'll go out to ease some fire too. The two youths saw the scene on the TV get spicier and was burning with lust. Before Wang Xianxian spoke, a voice replied, Since you came, you don't need to leave. Who? Everyone in the room looked towards the door as though in tacit agreement. A young man appeared there. No one knew when he came in. Tang Beiwei immediately recognized that youth was the person she was supposed to trick. He was called Yemo. She didn't expect him to really fall for it. She took the opportunity to hide behind Yemo, cursing Wei Yongqian over and over again. She was also tricked by him, so she would reveal all of his evil plans later. Who are you? Don't you know this is my territory? Punk. Piss off. Don't piss me off. Wang Xianxian was full of anger being interrupted when he was about to enjoy life. Yemo raised his leg and kicked Wang Xianxian into the room, then kicked the other two in as well. The three couldn't resist at all. Yemo turned to Tang Beiwei and said, Wait for me, I'll ask them a few questions inside. Then, Yemo went in and closed the door. At this moment, the three finally realized Yemo was a tough guy. Yemo scanned the three and suddenly threw out 2 fireballs, burning the 2 lackeys into dust. They didn't even have time to scream. Then, Yemo sat and looked coldly at Wang Xian. You have 3 seconds. If you don't tell me the full story, you will be like that too. Wang Xianxian looked at his 2 lackeys, turned to dust in terror. His teeth was rattling, and he couldn't say a complete sentence. He had never seen this sort of thing before. 2 fireballs and people were dead. There wasn't even a body left. If you're not going to speak, then don't. Then, Yemo had another fireball in his hand. Wang Xianxian controlled his shaking and said, Don't. We tricked that girl from another city. Originally, she came to be my head slut. I didn't think. Wang Xianxian didn't need to say the rest, and Yemo already guessed it. That girl was probably tricked here from another city to be sold here as a prostitute. He shook his head and turned Wang Xianxian to ash with a raise of his hand. When Yemo had walked out of the room, Tang Beiwei had regained her composure, but her face was still pale. She had pulled the plug of the TV, but her clothes were still ripped. Even though she used her hands, she still couldn't cover it. Yemo took out a shirt of his and passed it to her. Put that on and we can talk outside. The girl quickly put on the clothes and didn't even notice where the clothes came from. She just said to Yemo gratefully, Thank you for just then, Yemo waved his hand. Go out first. But outside. Although Tang Beiwei didn't know what Yemo did to the 3 inside, there were still a lot of people outside. Yemo smiled. Don't talk, just stay by my side. Then, Yemo used invisibility, cloaking him and Tang Beiwei. He walked out of the room and closed the door. Tang Beiwei didn't know she was invisible, but looked at the passing by people. No one seemed to notice them, and they just waltzed out of the bar. Then, Yemo took off the invisibility and asked, What happened just then? Tang Beiwei pouted her lips and said, I have something important to tell you. Take me to a faraway place? Yemo frowned his brows. He had never seen Tang Beiwei before, so where did this important thing come from? He immediately shook his head and said, No need. I still have things to do. You're out of danger. Leave quickly. Seeing that Yemo was going to go, Tang Beiwei was a bit worried. She wanted to tell Yemo about Wei Yongqian trying to harm him, but at this moment, her phone rang again. It's you. Tang Beiwei said hatefully. Wei Yongqian's plain voice sounded. Your mother is doing a pre-surgical checkup. I believe you should understand. I didn't tell Wang Xianxian about this, because he's just a lackey. It's impossible for him to act. So it had to be real. Plus, if he couldn't beat Emo, he would spoil our plan. But we wouldn't let Wang Xianxian do anything to you. If Emo didn't go in past a certain time, our men would go, and so don't blame me. Wei Yongqian seemed to know Tang Beiwei would succumb, and his voice was always so calm. Wei Yongqian, I'm not doing it. I will earn money for my mother myself, animal. Tang Beiwei was about to hang up. Wei Yongqian dazed. He didn't expect Tang Beiwei to call it quits just when they were about to succeed. He quickly said, the doctors checked and said if your mother didn't do surgery now, she wouldn't even last a week. Your mother isn't far. If you don't believe me, I can give the phone to her and let her talk. Plus, do you think you can amass 300K for the surgery in a week? Stop dreaming. You have succeeded half now. You just need to bring him to the place on the 27th, and your mother would be saved. Think about it. If you regret it, your mother will leave the surgical table immediately. Tang Beiwei helplessly put down the phone and looked at Emo, who was not far away. She couldn't calm down at all. If she regretted, she would be giving away her mother's life. Just thinking about her mother's thin, like stick body gave her pain. Her mother was like that due to her. How could she kill her mother's last hope for survival? Emo looked at Tang Beiwei. This girl was strange. He saved her, but she didn't leave and still stayed here being indecisive. Tang Beiwei hesitated for a long time. Her love for her mother took the upper hand. She had a good impression to Emo. If possible, she would give her first time to him to repay him saving her life. Plus, she believed Emo wouldn't be in danger even if she brought Emo there. She didn't believe Wei Yongqian dared to kill. Tang Beiwei chased up to Emo and worriedly said, Brother, thank you for saving me, but I'm still a little scared, and I don't have money on me, not even money for a ticket. Emo studied Tang Beiwei. She did look not very wealthy, and her phone was very old-styled too. He really didn't know why she came here. I don't have money either. I can't help you with this. Emo shook his head. He really didn't have money. He forgot to search their pockets before. Tang Beiwei looked at Emo's clothes. It wasn't bad. How could he not have money? But since she made up her mind, she couldn't go back again. She quickly said, Big brother, I need to go to my grandma. As long as I go to her place, I will have money to go back. Emo looked at Tang Beiwei. He had this constant feeling that this girl was acting weird. She had escaped death, but why did she keep sticking to him? Plus, she had those weird eyes before. Seeing Emo not talk, Tang Beiwei's pale face was a little red. She quickly said, Big brother, sorry, I really don't know anyone here. You saved me. I should leave immediately, but I... Then, Tang Beiwei's eyes reddened. She really wanted to cry. Someone saved her, but she was trying to trick him. Although she didn't want to harm Emo, she also couldn't face her helpless mother. She felt it was so hard. If she was just by herself, she wouldn't follow Emo so shamelessly. Stop. Emo saw Tang Beiwei was about to cry and quickly told her to stop. He was scared of women's tears the most. After a while, he said, What's your name? Where is your grandma? Tang Beiwei wiped her eyes before helplessly saying, I'm Tang Beiwei. My grandma is in Wuliang Mountain. Big brother, I don't know your name yet. Wuliang Mountain? Emo repeated and asked, I'm Emo. Is your grandma doing business at the tourist places at Wuliang Mountain? Tang Beiwei shook her head. No, brother Yi, the place she's living at is a bit far off. Emo didn't ask and said, I don't have money recently either, but follow me first. I'll see if I can earn some money and give you some. I don't have time to go find your grandma with you. I'm really busy. I can't help you with this. Emo was kind-hearted and had a good impression of this very soft and good-looking Tang Beiwei, but he really couldn't pull out time to go with her to find her grandma. Emo brought Tang Beiwei to a hotel and walked to the reception and said, Can you get me another room? I'll give you the bond tomorrow. Emo brought Tang Beiwei to a hotel and walked to the reception and said, Can you get me another room? I'll give you the bond tomorrow. The girl looked at Emo and then looked at Tang Beiwei behind him. She talked as though she had never seen Emo before. Sorry, sir. You need to pay if you wish to book another room. Emo didn't think the reception would be so stingy. He had been living here for 4 days already. Just when Yemo wanted to talk, he was pulled by Tang Beiwei. Brother Yi, I'll share a room with you tonight. Don't spend more money. Yemo thought so too. He was going to be making runes at night, so he wouldn't be sleeping anyways. He could leave the bed to Tang Beiwei. Now that Tang Beiwei said this, he didn't want to waste time talking to the reception and nodded. In that case, let's go up first. Tang Beiwei followed to Yemo's room and saw it was a single bedroom. She felt this sorrow for some reason. Although she was very grateful to Yemo and have decided to give her first time to him to compensate for tricking him when he saved her, but when she was really about to face it, she couldn't accept it. But since Yemo could bring her to this room, that meant he had that thought too. If he didn't, why did he bring a single girl into a single room? When Tang Beiwei was taking a shower, Yemo organized the materials. There were still 20 sets. Yemo took out the phone and hesitated a long time. He still couldn't decide if he was going to call Su Jingwen. He sighed and thought he should wait till tomorrow. There were 20 left, and it was enough for the night. After a while, Yemo put the phone away and looked at Tang Beiwei, who had finished her shower. She used a towel to wrap her body, but her long white legs still showed. She had a very slim figure, rendering this stunning sense of enticement. However, Yemo didn't have any feelings at all. It was as though Tang Beiwei wasn't as seductive as Jing Shi. He looked curiously at Tang Beiwei and said, "You finished the shower, then go and sleep on the bed." Yemo thought she was going to thank him first, but she just agreed and went to the bed. Yemo shook his head. She really wasn't going to act polite. Tang Beiwei slept on the bed with her heart thumping. She didn't know when Yemo would come. She felt shaky. She wanted Yemo to come early, and after it was done, she would feel less guilty. Tang Beiwei's heart was nervous and conflicted. Plus, she had been quite stressed lately, so she fell asleep unknowingly. Seeing Tang Beiwei had fallen asleep, Yemo started to make runes again, although he tried to be careful and not waste materials. A night was over, and he only made 7 from 20 sets of materials. The success rate was still less than a third. He rested for a long while before sighing. He packed up the things and took a shower. It was almost dawn, and he knew he had to borrow money. If he didn't, it was impossible to beat Jing Shi with the 30 runes he made. Plus, there might be more than one with Jing Shi's strength. Tang Beiwei slept very comfortably. She opened her eyes but didn't see anyone beside her. Yemo didn't sleep on the bed last night. She sat up subconsciously and realized her clothes were fine, untouched. The blanket slid down and she quickly pulled. Yemo saw Tang Beiwei sit up. He came over and said, "I need to go out for a bit. Don't run around after you get up. Wait till I get some money." Yemo knew that he killed 3 people last night, and although no one knew what happened last night, if they didn't appear for so long, it would arouse suspicion. "You didn't sleep on the bed last night?" Tang Beiwei asked in surprise. Yemo's words made her feel warm and more guilty. "No, I was doing things last night," Yemo casually said. "Huh." Tang Beiwei was worried. Yemo didn't take her last night. It was going to be daylight soon. What should she do? Today was the 25th already. "Brother Yi, can you come up and stay with me for a bit?" Tang Beiwei said such embarrassing words for the first time. She felt her body shake heavily. Yemo looked strangely at Tang Beiwei and thought, did he look wrong? What else could it be for a girl to ask a man to sleep with her? Seeing Yemo shake his head, Tang Beiwei was worried and pulled his hand. "Sorry, Brother Yi, this is my first time. I want to give it to you." After saying this, she was full of sweat, and her face was indescribably red. She would have never thought she would say something so shameless. However, she had no experience in seducing men and could only express it so straightforwardly. Yemo grabbed her wrist. Tang Beiwei felt relieved. He was finally going to take it. She didn't know if she was disappointed or happy. There were all sorts of feelings, but she didn't dare to look at Yemo. Yemo noticed the bracelet on Tang Beiwei's wrist. It was the exact same one his sister gave him. What was this? Tang Beiwei's hand was grabbed by Yemo, but she didn't see him do anything for a long while. The rudiness retreated, and she looked up strangely at Yemo. "Brother Yi." Tang Beiwei called out quietly. Her impression of Yemo was getting better and better. If it was a normal person, he probably would have done something already. She was the prettiest girl in her school, but Yemo still didn't do anything. Yemo sighed. Tang Beiwei, can you tell me where you got your bracelet from? Huh. She knew now that Emo grabbed her wrist because he was looking at her bracelet. This was the thing left behind by her mother to recognize her brother. Did he like it? If he did, she would give it to him. Thinking about this, Tang Beiwei took it off and gave it to Emo. My mum gave this to me not long ago. Brother Yi, you saved me, you don't want me, but if you like this bracelet, then take it. Emo took the bracelet and looked at it carefully. It was indeed the same as his bracelet. The jade and imprints were the same. There was no difference. He passed the bracelet to Tang Beiwei and smiled. Sleep for a while more. I'm not trying to take your bracelet, just having a look. Tang Beiwei took the bracelet in confusion. She didn't understand what Emo meant. Did he really have no intentions for her? Was she not good looking enough for him? If there was anything Tang Beiwei had to be proud of, it was her looks. She never thought she looked worse than anyone. Emo picked up the phone and was about to call Yiling about the bracelet, but he realized his phone was out of battery, so he put it aside to charge. Then, he walked to Tang Beiwei's bedside and said, "Can you lend me your phone?" Huh. Tang Beiwei saw Emo walk over, and her heart started thumping again. However, she didn't expect Emo to be just borrowing her phone as she quickly said, "Okay, here." Then, she passed the phone beside her pillow to Emo. Emo remembered Yiling's number, and he dialed it. However, the info that appeared made Emo freeze. After he dialed the number, the words Emo's girlfriend came up. Tang Beiwei knew Yiling? No, since she wrote Emo's girlfriend, it meant that she had heard of him, but she asked him for his name before. This girl was acting. Emo looked coldly at Tang Beiwei and hung up for now. Tang Beiwei was looking at Emo while thinking. But now, Emo suddenly looked at her and his eyes were very cold. She shivered subconsciously. Emo's eyes were too cold. From yesterday till now, she had never seen such cold eyes from Emo. Emo walked up to Tang Beiwei's bed and pulled away her blanket, revealing the wonderful body of hers that only had lingerie on. However, Emo acted as though he didn't see it. He grabbed her up and walked to the window and coldly said, "This is the 6th floor. If you say one lie, I will throw you down immediately. Tell me, why did you find me intentionally? What is it?" Tang Beiwei still didn't wake up from the shock, but when Emo asked her, she realized it. She looked at herself just wearing lingerie on, but was carried by Emo's hand. She was very embarrassed. Her eyes went red and tears gushed out once again. Emo didn't seem to see it and coldly said once again, "You have 1 minute. If you don't talk, then don't blame me. Throw me down, I. Tang Beiwei had this sudden sense of being wronged. Instead of living like this, she might as well die. When her mother died, she could stay with her mother. Why live in the world and be abused? Emo looked at Tang Beiwei in surprise. She didn't even fear death. Was there a crueler plan? Yiling was his sister, and that was his bottom line. They dared to touch her, then don't blame him. No matter what, he had to investigate this clear. He threw Tang Beiwei on the bed once again and coldly said, "Tell me everything. What do you want with me and who sent you?" Tang Beiwei pouted her lips and sat on the ground. She didn't care about how she looked but just didn't say a word. She hated Emo. Her original good impression of Emo was gone immediately. This person was so barbaric, not caring she was a girl at all, and just carried her by the neck. No wonder someone was targeting him. Served him right. Tang Beiwei pouted her lips and sat on the ground. She didn't care about how she looked but just didn't say a word. She hated Emo. Her original good impression of Emo was gone immediately. This person was so barbaric, not caring she was a girl at all, and just carried her by the neck. No wonder someone was targeting him. Served him right. Emo sneered. The only reason he didn't use forceful interrogation was because she had a bracelet. "I don't know why you have my sister's number saved, or why you purposely came close to me. I just know that I won't let the person live no matter who tries to touch my sister. I admit your acting skills are quite good. You even tricked me. I'll give you another minute. If you don't talk, then don't blame me for using force." Emo's voice was getting colder and colder. Tang Beiwei looked up in surprise. "Who did you say is your sister? When do I know your sister?" Just when Emo wanted to rage, he saw Tang Beiwei didn't seem to be lying. So he sneered and said, The one saved as Emo's girlfriend on your phone is my sister. Not only did you record my sister's number, but you also tried to get close to me. What do you want? Tang Beiwei was caught off guard. She subconsciously wanted to stand up, but immediately realized her situation and quickly covered herself with the blanket. She frowned and didn't talk. Emo stared deadly at Tang Beiwei. If she tried to play any tricks, he would start using forceful interrogation. Tang Beiwei didn't know why Wei Yongqian said Emo's sister was his girlfriend. However, no matter what, Tang Beiwei knew Wei Yongqian was tricking her. From today till now, he had been lying to her the whole time. Tang Beiwei had decided to spill everything. When she looked up, she saw Emo giving her a deadly stare. Tang Beiwei subconsciously covered her chest. Emo sneered. You don't need to worry. I'm not interested in you. Don't need to keep acting. Tang Beiwei's face grew more pale but didn't rebuke Emo's words. She rubbed her eyes and said, a few days ago, a person called Wei Yongqian found me and said you stole someone's girlfriend, and that person wants to teach you a lesson. So they told me to get close to you, even if I can't be your girlfriend. I needed to get close to you and best. Get in bed with me, right? You don't need to stutter. I didn't see you being shy before. Emo sneered. Tang Beiwei bit her lips till blood came out, but she didn't notice it at all. She continued, yes, then I'm to take you somewhere, and that person would bring your girlfriend there too. Your girlfriend would call me, and I would tell her the place. Then, she would see me being intimate with you, and that way, your girlfriend could see who you really are, and then, I would get intimate with other men in front of you in order to make you take my life, right? Emo's voice was really cold, making Tang Beiwei shiver. Tang Beiwei quickly shook her head. No, they said they would beat you up at most and injure you. They want to make you feel despair, make your girlfriend feel despair to you. Tang Beiwei spoke till now, and didn't even believe it herself. Would these people really do that? Wei Yongqian had lied to her a few times already. Could his words be trusted? Humph. Emo was sure that these people not only wanted his life, but also Yiling's too. Perhaps they would rape her in front of him to make him lose his marbles. Emo sneered. I wonder how much your first time was sold for. Oh, right. Perhaps it's not your first time. Who knows how many times you have been sold? Because Yiling's life was on the line. It was the first time Emo spoke so harshly to a girl. Tang Beiwei opened her mouth and spat out blood. Her face was pale like paper, but she bit her teeth, not wanting to say a word. She had tricked him already, so he could do whatever he wanted to her. She could only blame herself for having such a harsh life. Anyone could step on her dignity in life. She had no parents anyways. Although she tricked him too, she was taking the most precious thing she had to compensate him. Was this not enough? Emo saw that Tang Beiwei spat out blood, being angered by him so much, and couldn't bother to look at her. Although she was pitiful, she was more detestable. Emo picked up the phone and called Yiling. Brother, why did you call? I haven't been able to contact you. Yiling's crisp voice sounded, making Emo feel relieved. I'll be coming back soon. Has someone been calling you recently to come out? Emo asked immediately. Yiling's voice quickly sounded, no, what's wrong? Good, listen, if I want to find you, I will call you myself. If someone else calls you, don't believe them. Do you understand? And, my phone won't be shut recently. Call me immediately if something happens, Emo warned. Yiling knew that she didn't know about a lot of Emo's things and worriedly asked, I understand. Are you alright, brother? I'm fine. I need to ask you one thing. Can you tell me more specifically about the bracelet you gave me last time? Yiling didn't know why Emo suddenly asked about this. She hesitated for a moment before saying, Second brother gave this to you saying your mother left it behind. I don't know the specifics. Emo hung up the phone in disappointment. He expected this answer, but he was still disappointed. To be honest, he came from a different world, so he didn't really care about the bracelet that much. But today, he saw the same bracelet and that reminded him of this again. Emo walked in front of Tang Beiwei and looked at the blood she spat as well as her pale face. He suddenly thought, had he been too harsh? Draw out the place Wei Yongqian told you to bring me to. Then, Emo gave Tang Beiwei pen and paper. Tang Beiwei was like a doll and didn't move at all. Emo sneered. I know, even if you don't say. Is it at a distant place? Tricking my sister and I there and then kill us? You're very smart. Do you think these people would let you go after killing us? You're too naive. I don't know what they promised you, but I can surely tell you. Stop dreaming. Tang Beiwei's dead eyes seemed to move a little. She looked up subconsciously and numbly said to Yimo, I never wanted to kill you nor harm your sister. Those people just want to take revenge on you. Kill? Tang Beiwei had a jeer on her face but didn't say anything. It was a legal society now. Could they kill easily? Yimo was thinking. Who wanted to trick him there? The Song family or someone else? The Song family had the guts? Yimo sneered. If one didn't kill the snake, he would be harmed by it. Regardless of whether it was the Song family, he needed to go to Beijing and end this. He wasn't afraid of them, but what about the people he cared about? But why did these people choose Tang Beiwei? He took a good look at her face. Although her face was numb and swollen, he saw that she was a girl that was as pretty as Su Jingwen. It was just that she didn't put on any makeup. She didn't even draw her brows, but there was a sense of natural beauty. Yimo took back his eyes, thinking these people were really sinister. He didn't know where they found her, but since Yiling was fine and he noticed this plan, his anger towards Tang Beiwei was gradually gone. He stood up and looked at Tang Beiwei and said, Whether you believe it or not, these people tricked me there to kill me, so you owe me. If you still have conscience, then tell me. What did they promise you? And where did your bracelet come from? Tang Beiwei was sure from Yimo's tone that what he said was true. Those people really wanted to kill him. Although Yimo was so vicious with his words just then, Tang Beiwei felt Yimo was more trustworthy than Wei Yongqian. Perhaps it was because Yimo cared about his sister too much. When could she have a brother who cared about her like that? Her sister was really fortunate having a brother that cared about her so much. Then, Tang Beiwei thought about herself. She was a wild child. Other than a mother she lived with, no one else cared about her. All the people that tried to get close to her had all sorts of motives. They either lusted after her beauty or had sinister plans. Thinking about this, she couldn't help but shed tears. Although she warned herself again and again that she couldn't shed tears in front of this mean person even if she died, but she couldn't help the feeling of sadness from sprawling up. Yimo didn't force her again. He just coldly stood there, waiting for her to reply. Although he knew Tang Beiwei must have been tricked, he didn't sympathize her at all. Because my mum needs surgery, but I can't afford the money, so... Tang Beiwei didn't continue. Yimo had understood and regretted using those vicious words to attack her just then. He should forgive a girl who sold herself for her mother no matter what the reason. Yimo's eyes eased up, and his voice was no longer as cold as before. Talk about that bracelet. My words were too serious before, sorry. However, you're so old already. How can you be tricked so easily? Seeing how you're desperate to save your mother, I won't hold it against you. Tang Beiwei looked up at Yimo in shock. She seemed to be astonished by Yimo's calm temperament. Ever since he knew he was tricked by her, his tone had been getting colder and colder. This was the first time he talked to her with such tone. She felt a sense of being wronged and wanted to cry, but she knew that no matter how she felt wronged, she shouldn't cry in front of strangers again. Tang Beiwei looked up at Yimo in shock. She seemed to be astonished by Yimo's calm temperament. Ever since he knew he was tricked by her, his tone had been getting colder and colder. This was the first time he talked to her with such tone. She felt a sense of being wronged and wanted to cry, but she knew that no matter how she felt wronged, she shouldn't cry in front of strangers again. Seeing Tang Beiwei cry more and more, Yimo frowned but didn't say anything. He was waiting. Although he really wanted to go now, Tang Beiwei still hadn't told him about the bracelet, and he didn't want to just leave like that. After a long while, Tang Beiwei calmed herself down and said, The bracelet was given to me by my mother when she was really sick. She said I wasn't her biological daughter, but was picked up from a temple 20 years ago. The bracelet was left behind before, and my mum said I was one of 2 children left there. Other than my mother, another couple took a child too. We would use these bracelets to recognize each other. So? Yimo was suddenly shocked. If what Tang Beiwei said was real, then wouldn't the other child be him? Was he really picked up from the temple? He thought about the DNA test at the Yi family. That was actually real? His face suddenly paled. That meant that Tang Beiwei was his real sister, but Yiling wasn't. However, he just made her spit blood. Although his soul wasn't the original Yimo, he couldn't avoid the blood on him. Tang Beiwei didn't look up at Yimo and said, Yimo, although I wanted to harm you, I didn't get the chance to. Since you don't want me, if you like this bracelet, then take it. Treat it as my compensation. To me, I have no kin other than my mum. After mum leaves, there's no need for me to keep this bracelet. Her voice got quieter until it was almost unhearable. For the first time, Yimo regretted what he did and said. Ever since he started cultivation, he had never regretted about anything. This time, he truly regretted. It was because Yiling was involved that he was so angry, and his words became harsh. Although he wasn't completely sure Tang Beiwei was his sister, Yimo was now deeply regretful towards his vulgarness. Tang Beiwei looked down in melancholy, but didn't notice Yimo move at all. She subconsciously looked up at Yimo. Yimo's face was very pale, perhaps even as pale as her. Tang Beiwei forgot about her situation and forgot about how the man in front of her was so rude to her. Yimo took a long sigh and stared at Tang Beiwei for a long while. Tang Beiwei couldn't take Yimo's look and looked down again. She didn't know what Yimo was going to do to her. She just didn't care anymore. Yimo sat down, helped put a jacket on Tang Beiwei, and put his arm around her, bring her to rest on him. Tang Beiwei was shocked. What happened to Yimo? He didn't seem to be right. Sorry, Beiwei. My words were too harsh. I apologize to you. Yimo thought Tang Beiwei was living quite a harsh life and felt more uncomfortable. His eyes gradually became cruel. No matter who tricked Tang Beiwei over and harmed her like this, he would scatter their bone dusts everywhere. Then, Yimo took a sudden shiver. Did that person know they were brothers and sister? If that was the case, this person was too cruel and scary. Luckily, Yimo had his principal and had Luoying and Ning Qingshu in his heart. Otherwise, Yimo didn't dare to think about the consequences. Yimo's eyes grew colder. Such malevolent means. If it was really like this, he wouldn't be able to sleep unless this person was dead. There was such an animal in the world. Tang Beiwei felt surprised at Yimo saying sorry for the second time. If the first time was casual, then this time, Tang Beiwei truly felt Yimo's apology. And he changed to calling her Beiwei. She laid in Yimo's arms and had this feeling of not wanting move. If only someone protected her like this all the time, she wouldn't need to be bullied everywhere. Just when Tang Beiwei was thinking, she suddenly felt Yimo's body go cold. There was a killing intent from his bones. This made her shiver and suddenly leave Yimo. Seeing Tang Beiwei look at him in terror, Yimo knew he spilt his killing intent. He took it back and took a medical pill and gave it to her. Beiwei, eat this first. I'll help you strengthen your body. Tang Beiwei looked at the pill in surprise and thought for a while but still ate it. She didn't ask why. If Yimo was going to do something to her, she would concede her fate. Then, Yimo took out needles to unblock all the meridians that was blocked due to her extreme sadness. Then, he helped her strengthen her body with spirit chi. 2 hours later, he pulled out the needles with sweat all over his forehead. Tang Beiwei also realized her body seemed to be full of power. She was full-spirited, and that depressing feeling in her heart was gone. She even felt very light and comfortable. She saw that many impurities have been squeezed out from her pores and seemed to have realized something. Then, she looked at Yimo, who sat on the bed full of sweat and had a pale face. Although she didn't know what Yimo did to her, she knew that Yimo used a lot of strength to help her improve her body. Yimo opened his eyes and said to Tang Beiwei, "Go take a shower first. I will talk to you later." Although she didn't understand what was happening, she wanted to take a shower quickly. Yimo expended a lot of energy this time. Yimo had never helped anyone do this before, even for Ning Qingshu. He did it this time for Tang Beiwei because he felt he owed her. Yimo looked at the money he had left in the ring, barely tens of dollars. It seemed he couldn't avoid borrowing money. He didn't ask from Yiling because he knew she had no money now too. Tang Beiwei took a shower for almost an hour. When she came out, she had switched clothes, but the shirt was still Yimo's. After she took a shower, she seemed to have had a complete makeover. Because Yimo cleansed her body and meridians, she had this indescribable noble temperament on her. When she looked at herself in the mirror, she was also very shocked. She didn't know what Yimo did for her, but it must be something amazing. And Yimo didn't seem like an ordinary person too. Yimo looked at Tang Beiwei and felt satisfied. Other than that sorrow that couldn't be washed away, she was completely different. What do you want to talk about with me? Tang Beiwei had regained her composure. She buried the sorrow in her heart deeply. She had decided to go back to Tandu immediately. If her mother really couldn't be cured, she would take her mum away and stay with her. She had done her best. Instead of being harassed everywhere, she might as well go back with her mother. Yimo took out a bracelet and said, I suspect we're brothers and sisters because I also have this bracelet. Tang Beiwei suddenly started to shake. She jumped up abruptly and took the bracelet from Yimo's hands and compared it to hers. It was a pair. Her red face became pale once again. Her hands were shaking. Even her entire body was shaking. She didn't expect the kin she was supposed to find was the person torturing her. Before she knew who Yimo was, she could endure it. But now that she knew Yimo was probably her brother, she was about to collapse. She wanted a brother who loved her and spoiled her, but she couldn't accept it when the reality was in front of her. Tang Beiwei's face grew paler and paler. She suddenly took the bracelet and smashed it towards Yimo and dashed out of the door without saying a word. There was a sense of despair flashing across Yimo's eyes. From a soul perspective, he didn't have any connections to Tang Beiwei, but this blood relation thing couldn't be severed. Yimo chased out. He knew that Tang Beiwei must feel really bad now, but he didn't try to pull here. Perhaps after a while, she would feel better. Tang Beiwei's brain was full of chaos. Yimo was actually her brother. She would rather never found her brother than have Yimo as her brother. She almost did something unforgivable. If it wasn't that Yimo wasn't interested in her, she couldn't even imagine the consequences. Tang Beiwei kept running. She hated Yimo. If he had the bracelet, why didn't he take it out earlier? There were so many people in the world. Why did it have to be Yimo? Tang Beiwei kept running forward tirelessly as though something ahead could set her free. Her brain was chaotic. She wasn't thinking. Yimo followed behind her worriedly. He knew that Tang Beiwei needed to release her feelings, and after she calmed down, she would be able to accept things. Yimo stopped. He saw Tang Beiwei go up the elevator. It was a glass elevator. When Yimo came, it was already going up. The numb look in her eyes shook Yimo's heart. Why did she go up the elevator? Soon, Yimo thought. Was she going to jump off the building? He suddenly regretted not pulling her and let her run. The elevator was getting smaller and smaller, and Yimo scanned Tang Beiwei nervously with his spirit sense. Luckily, this building was only 70 meters tall. That was still in range of his spirit sense. Yimo was looking at her thinking if he should go up and bring her down. But suddenly, Tang Beiwei opened the window at the top floor and jumped. Seeing Tang Beiwei jump, he finally felt relieved. He jumped without hesitation, using a spirit chi wall to slow her descent before carrying her just before she landed. Before people could react, he left there. The moment Tang Beiwei jumped, she felt relieved. Everything was going to end, but when she woke up again, she found she was in Yimo's arms. She had a fright. Did her brother jump too? Beiwei, you're really dumb. Why did you jump? If I couldn't catch you, I wouldn't forgive myself. Yimo's tone was a little sad. He didn't know who was right and who was wrong. Tang Beiwei finally understood that Yimo caught her. That depression in her heart finally disappeared. The endless feeling of being wronged rushed up her heart, and she finally couldn't resist it anymore. She hugged Yimo and cried out. Yimo could understand how Tang Beiwei was feeling. A girl who was bullied and helpless faced huge pressure but couldn't find any help. She even had to do things against her conscience, but at last found her kin and thought that she almost did something unforgivable. Yimo could understand how Tang Beiwei was feeling. A girl who was bullied and helpless faced huge pressure but couldn't find any help. She even had to do things against her conscience, but at last found her kin and thought that she almost did something unforgivable. He put Tang Beiwei down and stayed silent for a while before saying, "We both didn't know at the time. Plus, even now, we can't be sure if we're related for sure. After all, we can't just tell by a bracelet, so don't worry. Even if we're really siblings, we don't need to worry even more, right?" Although Tang Beiwei had calmed down now, Yimo still comforted her. Tang Beiwei stopped and looked at Yimo. Brother Yi, do you want to do a DNA test with me? She didn't know what to call Yimo. She felt brother was too sudden, but Yimo wasn't suitable either. Yimo smiled. No need. I don't like that. Real or fake, you will be my sister from now on. I will treat you just like Yiling. No matter what happens, just come find me. Remember, I'm your brother. Brother. Tang Beiwei seemed a little lost as she wiped her eyes. She wanted to say something but eventually didn't. Was her prayer finally heard by the heavens, and did she finally get a big brother? Yimo said he didn't want to do DNA check, but she felt a little lost. She didn't know whether to listen to him or not. Yimo waved his hand and said, I was planning to go Wuliang Mountain a few days later, but since these people keep testing me, if I don't do something, they'll think I'm scared of them. Beiwei, you don't need to go anywhere. Follow me and wait till I treat your mother. You know how to treat illness? Tang Beiwei looked at Yimo in surprise. She remembered Yimo using acupuncture in the morning. Before Yimo replied, a voice interrupted them. Didn't think I could meet you here. This is such a coincidence. Master, it's my luck. A Porsche stopped in front of Yimo. As the words sounded, a youth jumped out of the car. Yimo had seen this person before. It was the one who wanted to race him when he was with Jing Shi. This youth came and shook Yimo's hands. I'm Chao Gang. I saw your car skills that day and I'm really amazed. Ugh. Is this your girlfriend? She's really pretty. Chao Gang was very lively. Before Yimo even spoke, he already treated Yimo as a racing friend. Yimo laughed and said, I'm Yimo. This is my sister Tang Beiwei. Pleasure to meet you. Chao Gang had this understanding look. His sister didn't have the same last name as him. Who would believe you? The sister nowadays were the sisters being F***ked. Hearing Yimo say that, he also laughed. So that's it, Brother Yi. I've been trying to find you last time seeing your car skills. I just heard your car went into Yuan, but I really didn't expect to see you here. I'm so lucky. I don't have much hobbies, but I love cars. If you brother don't mind, I wish to invite you to food and talk about car skills. Yimo smiled and said, That's fine, but I don't have time now. I still have important things to do. So let's talk about it next time. If it was a normal person, they would have realized that Yimo was not interested. But Chao Gang just phased and said, No problem. I'm a little famous around here. If you need any help, just ask me because I might need your help soon. This is my name card. Chao Gang passed it to Yimo and rubbed his hands. Obviously, he was a little awkward about finding Yimo for help. Although he was very energetic and social, it was the first time they met properly. Much less Yimo didn't really want to talk to him. His words were quite unsuitable, but he had seen Yimo's car skills. As long as Yimo got in the car, he wouldn't be able to chase up to him at all. Although he didn't know Yimo well, he knew he wasn't someone to be shocked by status and money. If that was possible, Yimo wouldn't have ignored him last time and drove off. After all, not much people drove limited edition cars like him. As such, in order to be friends with someone like Yimo, he needed to lower himself and treat him as equal. Yimo took the name card and looked. He knew that this person wasn't as straightforward as he appeared. This person knew this was the best way to communicate with him. This Chao Gang wasn't an impulsive person but was quite cunning. He knew how to observe and even knew the best means to communicate with people. This was a little interesting, but Yimo didn't detest it. Perhaps he really liked cars and wanted to find someone to help him race. No need for help. I'm just missing some money and I'm going back to get some money. If I'm free, I will call you. Yimo said that intentionally. He wanted to see how much of a help this Chao Gang could give him. If it could solve his money difficulties, he didn't mind help Chao Gang. However, if he was going to be stingy on this, then never mind. Hearing this, Chao Gang's face was immediately filled with smile. Brother Yi, although it's not something to brag about, but I have some money to spend. How much do you need, Brother Yi? Yimo nodded and casually said, I wonder what you would like me to help with. Chao Gang saw that his plan was seen through and rubbed his hands awkwardly. There's a race at the end of next month. It's very important to me, but I know with my skills, I'm not likely to win if... Yimo already knew what it was. He waved his hand and asked, What's the largest prize? The prize is only a little less than 1 million. But we all don't care about the prize money. Instead, something else is awarded with the prize money. Other than this, there are also some conflicts in interest, but Xiao Gang was stuttering. Obviously, some things weren't good to make clear. Yimo waved his hand and said, "Okay, I'll agree to help you get this first. I'm not interested in other things. I need 500K now. I will contact you by the end of the month." Hearing Yimo's words, Xiao Gang's face was full of joy and surprise. He quickly stuffed a card in Yimo's hands. "Password is all 8. There's around 600K in there. I'll be waiting for your call." Then, before Yimo could talk, he didn't even ask for Yimo's contact number and just went in the car. A rumble echoed out, and the car soon disappeared. Xiao Gang clearly saw Yimo's car skills. The latter could use a normal Audi to leave his Porsche in the dust. This wasn't something normal people could do. Yimo shook his head thinking this Xiao Gang is really interesting. It was obvious that Xiao Gang was very rich. He didn't really care about that few hundred thousands, and he wouldn't worry that Yimo would go back on his words for that amount. Xiao Gang was afraid he would regret his actions, so he quickly drove away, decisively and astutely. Tang Beiwei looked at Yimo in a daze and said after a while, "Brother, you know this person?" Then, she just realized that her brother sounded so natural. Yimo shook his head. "I don't know him." "Don't know? Then why did he give so much money to you? And these people are usually powerful. If we annoy him, we... Plus, racing is dangerous and... Before Tang Beiwei finished, Yimo already knew what she was thinking. Tang Beiwei was living at the bottom and was scared of these young masters the most. Yimo caressed her head pitifully and said, "It's okay. If I'm not in need of money shortly, I wouldn't care about a few 100,000. Let's go eat first and talk later." Tang Beiwei helplessly shook her head. She worked so hard for 200K and was about to sell everything she had, but her brother just said one sentence and got 600K from someone he didn't even know. After eating with Tang Beiwei, he took out 200K to buy 1,000 sets of materials before helping Tang Beiwei buy some clothes. Then, he gave the remaining 300K to her. "I don't need money. I just want to go back and save my mother," Tang Beiwei rejected. Yimo stashed the card on her hand again and said, "You also saw that it's very easy for me to earn money, so take these first. Wait till tomorrow and call Wei Yongqian. Just do according to the original plan." Tang Beiwei hesitantly took the card and said, "Brother, since you already know he's trying to harm you, why are you still taking the bait?" Yimo sneered and said to Tang Beiwei, "I know he's plotting against me, that's why I'm going, don't worry." Yimo and Tang Beiwei went back to the hotel, but saw police out there investigating. He immediately knew that Wang Xinxian's incident was probably being investigated right now. He immediately called Xiao Gang. Although he didn't know who he was, a small thing like this shouldn't be hard for him. As soon as Xiao Gang picked up Yimo's call, he was very happy. To him, this was Yimo telling him how to contact him indirectly. He quickly told Yimo not to worry, and no one would come investigate him. He didn't know that only permitted numbers could reach Yimo's phone. Other people wouldn't be able to reach it, since his phone was a custom-made one given to him by Han Zixin. As soon as Xiao Gang picked up Yimo's call, he was very happy. To him, this was Yimo telling him how to contact him indirectly. He quickly told Yimo not to worry, and no one would come investigate him. He didn't know that only permitted numbers could reach Yimo's phone. Other people wouldn't be able to reach it, since his phone was a custom-made one given to him by Han Zixin. Yimo put down the phone and sighed. It was so easy with connections. As soon as he hung up, his phone sounded again. It was Yiling. Yiling's voice was anxious. Yimo told her to be careful in the morning, and now, there was someone calling her to go Wuliang Mountain, saying Yimo was waiting for her there. Yimo was angry, and told Yiling to say she wouldn't be able to leave now and needed a few days if she received this call again. Then, he told her to not go places, even the school, and just stay at the Yi family mansion. Then, he called Zhangju. "Instructor, I thought you were ditching us. You haven't contacted us for so long." Zhangju's voice was welcoming. He was very happy about Yimo's call. Yimo knew Zhangju thought of him as a real friend and felt warm at heart, but he seriously said, "Please help look after my sister these few days. And, Tell Li Hu about the Song family and ask him to find a few people to keep eyes on them. If there's something, call me immediately. Don't worry, instructor, leave it to me. Zhang Ju's affirmative voice sounded. Yi Mo felt slightly relieved and then said, Brother Zhang, stop calling me instructor. If you think we're friends, then just call me Yi Mo, haha. Okay, I'll call you young Master Mo from now. Zhang Ju knew Yi Mo was treating him as a brother now and felt even happier. Yi Mo then called Li Hu. Although he already asked Zhang Ju, he was still afraid something would happen to Yiling. Tang Beiwei looked at Yi Mo make all those calls and quietly said after half a beat, Is Yiling your sister? You're really nice to her. She thought of Yi Mo being very harsh to her due to Yiling and felt sour. Yi Mo looked at Tang Beiwei and subconsciously smiled while patting her head. You're also my sister. I will treat you the same. Stop feeling bad over what happened in the morning. That is the first and last time. Just when she was about to tell Yi Mo not to always pat her head, she was a little lost in thought. She finally had a big brother too. She wouldn't need to live like before and be harassed everywhere. Thinking about this, her eyes got red. Everything was like a dream. Was this really a dream? She inched her arm and felt pain. It shouldn't be a dream. Let's go. What are you thinking about? Let's go in first. Yi Mo pulled. Now that we have money, I'll open another room. Tang Beiwei came to her senses. Yi Mo waved his hand. No need. You are still staying with me tonight. Huh. Tang Beiwei looked at Yi Mo in shock. They didn't know they were siblings yesterday, but now that they did, how can they still live together? Yi Mo pulled Tang Beiwei in, and when there was no one, he said, If you changed room tonight, people would know immediately and my plan will fail. Oh. Tang Beiwei understood but still worriedly said, Brother, they have a lot of people and their plan is precise. You're just by yourself. Yi Mo had decided to have a carnage. It wasn't suitable to bring Tang Beiwei. No, I want to go as well. Although I'm a girl, I still know a few moves. I can help you. Tang Beiwei rejected. Yi Mo closed the door and felt warm. Kins were kins indeed. She was still plotting against him yesterday, but now, she was risking her life to help him. However, he wouldn't allow Tang Beiwei to go with him no matter what. Yi Mo knew that since these people had made up their mind, they were sure they could keep him. It meant that they spent a lot of effort, and if Tang Beiwei went, he wouldn't be able to take care of her. Beiwei, do you think other people could catch you when you fall from tens of meters high? Yi Mo didn't try to persuade her but used fact to ask. Tang Beiwei phased. Indeed, she still didn't remember how she was caught falling from that high. Anyone wouldn't be able to catch her? She looked at Yi Mo full of inquisition. Yi Mo told her straight up because Tang Beiwei was his sister. Because I've learnt some Dao magic. Tang Beiwei was more and more confused. She was taught atheism from school, so how did Dao magic come out? Yi Mo knew it would only get more confusing the more he tried to explain, so he could only say, You don't need to know about it for now. You will understand in the future. Call Wei Yongqian first and tell him you have succeeded. Ask him what to do next. I need to make some things. Don't disturb me for now. Although Tang Beiwei didn't know what that Dao magic was, but she wasn't dumb. No normal person could catch someone falling from tens of meters high. Perhaps she would be a burden to Yi Mo if she really went. Yi Mo helped Tang Beiwei make a defensive necklace and started to make more charms. Because he had a lot of materials, Yi Mo didn't need to worry about wasting material. At 5 p.m., he had made 10 from 30 sets of materials. When Yi Mo stood up, Tang Beiwei was already waiting for him with 2 boxes of food. Beijing Song family. Dongfang Shi, Song Qiming, and Song Hai were still discussing things in a secret room. Other than Dongfang Shi, who was calm, both Song Qiming and Song Hai were worried. Yiling said she isn't free tomorrow nor the day after. What is this? Mr. Dongfang, didn't you say Yiling would go as soon as she got news of Yi Mo? Song Qiming worriedly said. Song Hai interrupted. Could Yiling have reached Yi Mo and knew that Yi Mo didn't call her? Dongfang Shi was calm and said, Don't worry about that. Yi Mo's phone is always off. No one can reach him. I've done my investigation. Song Hai suddenly said, How about we try calling him? Dongfang Shi shook his head. No need. When Yiling said she wasn't free, I already tried Yi Mo's phone. It can't be reached indeed. We don't need to doubt this. Plus, even if Yiling didn't go, our plan would prevail. How does that work? Song Qiming asked desperately. Dongfangshi shook his head and said, "You will know when the time is right. Tang Beiwei just called and told me that she had succeeded and asked us what to do next. I've decided to make the plan to tonight." Song Hai said with confusion, "Mr. Dongfang, why bring it forward? Didn't we say tomorrow morning?" Dongfangshi waved his hand and said, "There's already people guarding outside the auction today, so I was just waiting for Yiling to go. However, since she can't and said she didn't have time, we need to be more careful no matter what. Other than Yiling, everyone else is in position. As such, in order to prevent more accidents, we will move tonight. The main thing is Dongfang Shi, succeeded." Seeing Song Qiming and Song Hai look at him in confusion, Dongfang Shi sneered. "Song family leader, you just need to watch the show. I promise you will get revenge in the most satisfying way. Song Hai and I can go to Wuliang Mountain immediately. I will let Yimo know the consequences of troubling me." Then, Dongfang Shi looked at Song Qiming but was full of contempt. When this guy first heard about Tang Jin, he immediately acted as though he cared a lot. People would have thought he was coerced all those years ago, but it had been a few days now, and he seemed to have forgotten about it. He didn't even ask about Dongfang Shi. It could be seen he was a hypocrite, but this was best. Hearing Dongfang Shi's words, Song Qiming was immediately excited. He couldn't wait to see how Dongfang Shi was going to torture Yimo. However, he was also scared at the same time. It was too scary getting into enmity with this person. If it wasn't because his status was sensitive, even he wanted to see Yimo's face of despair. After food, Tang Beiwei packed things up and said, "Brother, you didn't sleep last night. I'll sleep on the couch tonight so you can get some good rest." Yimo waved his hand. "No need, I have important business tonight. You sleep at night, don't worry about me." Just when Tang Beiwei wanted to say something, her phone rang. She picked it up, then looked at Yimo and said, "Brother, it's that way Yongqian. I called him in the afternoon, and now he's calling me." Yimo immediately said, "Answer it first. No matter what he says, agree." Tang Beiwei nodded and accepted the call. Yimo walked beside her. "Xiao Tang, a change of plan. The hirer wants to go tonight, so you need to bring Yimo to that place tonight. Tomorrow, you can go back to Tandu and stay with your mother. You don't need to worry about everything else." Wei Yongqian's voice sounded. Dongfang Shi replied, "Okay, I will take him there immediately. Imichim, I know what to do." Yimo took out the defensive necklace and gave it to Tang Beiwei. "Put this on you. After I go, close the windows shut and don't open the door until I come back." Yimo took out the defensive necklace and gave it to Tang Beiwei. "Put this on you. After I go, close the windows shut and don't open the door until I come back." Since these people plotted to harm him, he couldn't be sure if they would harm Tang Beiwei too. "It's such a pretty necklace, brother. Is this for me?" Tang Beiwei loved the exquisite necklace. She never had any jewelry. This was her first. Yimo was a little guilty. Tang Beiwei didn't even have a proper jewelry on her and used an old second-hand phone. He knew she had been living a hard life these recent years, but he didn't want to say. He just noted that he needed to care about this sister more. Thinking about this, Yimo said, "You mustn't take this off. These are some charms I made. If someone comes in, just throw these at them. When you throw it out, you need to say Lin." Tang Beiwei looked at 10 palm-sized charms that Yimo passed over and dazed for a while. Did her brother spend the entire afternoon making these? Was this the Dao magic he said? Seeing Tang Beiwei's confusion, Yimo immediately said, "This is a fireball charm. Remember, throw it out and it will form a fireball to engulf the person. Don't try it casually." "Brother, this?" Tang Beiwei didn't know what to say. Yimo waved his hand and said, "You just need to remember my words. I don't even have time to love you. How can I harm you? After I leave, you must wait till I come back." Yimo repeatedly warned her, and Tang Beiwei also nodded seriously. She knew that she was wrong before. That way Yongqian definitely didn't just want to teach her brother a lesson. He really wanted to kill. She also understood that if they just wanted to teach her brother a lesson, they wouldn't spend this much money. Yimo walked out of the room and closed the door. He knew these people were very sly and evil, so he didn't want Tang Beiwei to be in danger. He searched with his spirit sense carefully and was sure that the monitoring people were quite far from here. But even so, he still used invisibility to leave the hotel. After walking out a long while, he then called a taxi towards the location Tang Beiwei told him. The reason he used invisibility was because he was afraid people would see only he came out. He needed to kill all of them before they had time to react. In fact, it would be best to take Tang Beiwei with him, but Yemo was afraid the enemy would be too strong. And he didn't want Tang Beiwei to see him kill people. Wuliang Mountain was a sacred place for Buddhists, and Wuliang Mountain Shishuang Temple was much bigger than many sacred temples. However, barely a few people knew about it. The reason was simple. It wasn't open to tourists and was hidden in the dangerous ranges of the mountain. The temple itself wasn't dangerous, but the location was. There was a big canyon before one could enter the temple, and in that canyon, there was a deep, bottomless cliff. It could be said that it was the biggest obstacle to getting to the temple. But at this moment, there were no one stopping people from entering the temple because the biggest auction of the hidden sects was about to be held here, and this cliff had been connected by a huge metal chain bridge. No one knew how it was connected, however. At this moment, Dongfang Shi and two yellow-level masters were hiding in a discreet location in the canyon waiting for Yemo's arrival. Meanwhile, Song Hai and a few Song family yellow-level warriors, as well as Li Mingqiang, were waiting at the two sides of the canyon. They were waiting for Tang Beiwei to bring Yemo into that metal chain bridge and come back. If they couldn't, it meant that they already died. Other than Dongfang Shi and Li Mingqiang, other people were very focused. Dongfang Shi wasn't worried because he was confident. Li Mingqiang, on the other hand, was a black-level tertiary stage master. He didn't care about a mere Yemo. Song Hai opened his phone and checked before saying to Dongfang Shi, "Mr. Dongfang, a car is driving over here. It should be Yemo and Tang Beiwei, but strangely, the people I stationed around the hotel didn't see the two leave. I don't know how they got on the car." Dongfang Shi's heart suddenly jumped. He thought of the two towns outside the desert and how Yemo could be invisible. He started getting a bad feeling, but his face didn't show it at all. "Song Hai, the quality of your people needs improvement." Song Hai nodded and said, "I'm just afraid Yemo doesn't have a life to come back after entering the metal bridge. In that case, although we got our revenge, it will not be very satisfying." Dongfang Shi nodded. "Brother Song doesn't need to worry. This will definitely be a satisfying revenge. But you're right, after all, the two guarding there are too strong. It wouldn't be good if they beat him to death. I need to go communicate inside. The reason we can stay here was because I told them. Now, I'll go tell them to leave Yemo one last breath. It should be fine." Then, Dongfang Shi ordered the two next to him to listen to Song Hai. Then, he said to Song Hai, "I'll be very quick. You take command here for now." Although Song Hai guessed Dongfang Shi was connected to the two from the hidden sects, he didn't think he could actually talk to them directly. He quite admired this and said, "Thank you, Mr. Dongfang. Leave this place to me." Dongfang Shi left as soon as he spoke and was headed towards the metal chain bridge, but soon, he twisted and his body was blocked by trees. Dongfang Shi ran out a few hundred meters before hiding behind a rock and called, "What's the matter? Why is there no report after the target has come out?" Dongfang Shi's voice was worried. "Advisor, we've been using the telescope to monitor the door of the hotel constantly. We didn't see any target." Soon, his men reported. Dongfang Shi knew things wasn't good. There must have been a mistake, but theoretically, his plan shouldn't have been exposed. What was this? Even Song Qiming didn't know about this, so it was pure coincidence that he knew about Tang Beiwei and Yemo. However, how did Yemo know? Immediately send a few people into the target's room. If she's by herself, take her away immediately and leave Yuan to the next location before contacting me. Dongfang Shi was very decisive. He didn't know which part of the plan failed, but since no one saw Yemo at the hotel, it meant he was suspicious or knew about the plan. That's why he hid. Regardless of whether the plan was a success or failure, he needed to run. He would call his men later. If both of them left the hotel, then he would make his next decision. If it was only Tang Beiwei, then the plan has failed for sure. After Yemo left, Tang Beiwei casually put the fireball charms on the table and took off that necklace, playing with it as though she couldn't let go of it. Although never had any jewelry, she had seen many of the celebrities' jewelry on TV and seen it at the shopping malls. She had never seen a jewelry prettier than the one her brother gave her. The pearls emitted a faint glow and rendered a sense of serenity. It was really pretty. What happened today was like a dream, and she wasn't completely awake now. She had a brother who was very nice to her, but when he didn't know she was his sister, he was really mean and scary. Was Emo really her brother? He really had a lot of secrets. She saw him take things out from him, but his clothes were really thin. So where did he leave things? And he bought so many materials today, but she didn't know where he put them. Suddenly, there was a banging on the door. Tang Beiwei was shocked. His brother said he would call her if he was going to come in. Who was knocking now? Tang Beiwei immediately thought of Emo's words and put the necklace on her and picked up the tin charms and stared worriedly at the door. There was another fit of knocking. Tang Beiwei summoned the courage, walked beside the door and asked, "Who is outside?" She didn't expect the knocking to suddenly stop after she asked. She immediately began to worry. Brother wasn't here. Was the charms he gave her effective? Although Dongfang she thought he probably was thinking too much, he would never take a risk on any small possibility. Last time at Saina, if he wasn't quick, he would have been dead already. So regardless if Emo fell for it, he would retreat decisively. He had no business there regardless. Dongfang she took out the vibrating phone and answered the call. His men's report shocked him. He was only guessing, but he didn't really expect Tang Beiwei to be still at the hotel. Dongfang she sweated and immediately told his men to take her away and wait for his call. Then, he turned off his phone and ran for his life towards the outside. He didn't dare to meet up with his men at the hotel. He didn't believe Emo would leave Tang Beiwei there after knowing his plan. He must have measures. The more he ran, the more he regretted. From now on, no matter what he did, he wouldn't come personally again. Although it was satisfying telling Emo the truth in front of Emo and watch him die in rage, nothing was more important than his life. Another bang and the door was kicked open. A waitress who wanted to stop them was kicked away by the man outside and couldn't get up. Another bang and the door was kicked open. A waitress who wanted to stop them was kicked away by the man outside and couldn't get up. Tang Beiwei saw the three men charge in and charged towards her the moment they entered. Tang Beiwei's heart shook and took many steps back. The man in front had grabbed towards her. Obviously, he didn't see Tang Beiwei as a threat at all. To him, Tang Beiwei was just a goat ready to be slaughtered. Tang Beiwei, in a fit of worry, threw a few charms at the man and yelled Lin repeatedly. Rumble, a ball of fire engulfed the man. But soon, the flame disappeared and there was just a small pile of ash flying around. Tang Beiwei was shocked and couldn't react at all. What was this? She didn't even feel any heat from that ball of flame, but the man who was surrounded by it disappeared. This was too strange. Was that fireball charm that strong? Wasn't this immortal magic? Who was her brother? She subconsciously looked at the remaining few charms in her hands. The two men behind stopped and looked at the flying ashes in shock. Their minds froze. Burning a person to ash? How could this be? However, they already saw it with their own eyes, so how could it be fake? The two came to their senses after many seconds and looked at the runes in her hands, not daring to take a step forward. They turned to run, until they disappeared. Tang Beiwei finally realized that the fireballs were real and also scarily strong. That temperature was enough to turn people to ash in an instant. Tang Beiwei looked at the door that was kicked to pieces and knew there was no point staying here anymore. She immediately left the hotel and looked at the 7 remaining charms in her hands, thinking that with that, she could go help Emo. She quickly called a taxi to where Emo was going. The scene wasn't bloody before, so Tang Beiwei didn't think much of it. But now that she sat on the car and thought a person burnt to ash, she couldn't help but to feel disgusted. "Are you car sick?" the driver asked. "A bit." Tang Beiwei made the driver stop as she vomited. Emo got off the car when it couldn't go further. He then went into the forest from the side of the path Tang Beiwei pointed. Emo's speed was very fast, the same as a car. It was just half an hour, and he saw a long canyon just like Tang Beiwei said. Yimo entered immediately and spread out his spirit sense at the same time. Song Hai, from a distance, saw one person entering the canyon. He felt something was wrong and looked at Li Mingqiang and said, "Why is there only one person? Did he notice something so he came by himself? You two go ahead and see." Song Hai's last sentence was to the two men Dongfang she brought. After the two men left, Li Mingqiang sneered. "I knew that Dongfang she wasn't reliable. I would believe the hidden sect people would let him set up ambush here, but I don't believe he can talk to them directly." Song Hai suddenly stood up. "Predecessorly, I think this thing may really be what you said. What should we do now?" Li Mingqiang sneered. "I don't believe that Yimo has 3 heads and 6 arms. Regardless of whether he dares to step on the metal chain bridge, I won't be afraid of him. Without Dongfang Shi, can I not avenge my disciple? There's only 8 people. This is disappointing. If you want to take your revenge, then come." As soon as Li Mingqiang spoke, Yimo's voice sounded out. Song Hai's face immediately became pale. He didn't think Yimo could find them and not go onto the metal chain bridge first. They were hiding on the side of the canyon. So how did Yimo find them? But soon, he reacted and said, "Surround him. Predecessorly, keep him there and the rest attack him together." The reason Song Hai said this was because he knew if he ordered to retreat, he would be the first to die. The rest of the people were all much stronger than him. Everyone surrounded Yimo. Yimo looked at Song Hai, who was slowly retreating, and sneered. "If you dare to take half a step back, I will kill you first." Song Hai stopped his steps. He didn't know why, but he didn't dare to retreat a bit at all. "Tell me your names." Yimo scanned them. His tone was cold. Li Mingqiang sneered and said, "I'm Li Mingqiang, little bastard. Just because you learnt some martial arts, you dare to be so cocky and kill my disciple Hu Qiu. I will sacrifice your head to him. You will pay for your insolence." Yimo's eyes immediately went cold. Li Mingqiang was Hu Qiu's master, so he immediately knew it was the Song family. His guess was right. The Song family was really bold. Not only bold, they even thought of such an evil way of revenge. In Yimo's heart now, the Song family was already a pile of dead bones. In that case, die. Yimo casually took out Bianpo's long sword and slashed towards them. He also learnt this from Bianpo. If Bianpo knew that not only was his weapon taken by Yimo, but so was his moves after his death, would he crawl out from the ground and cry? Other than Li Mingqiang noticing Yimo suddenly had a sword in his hand. No one else saw the sword. They only saw a ray of white light. Li Mingqiang was also dazed a bit. He clearly saw Yimo was bare-handed. So how did he suddenly have a long sword? PSH, there were blood-spilling sound everywhere. Song Hai realized the 4 yellow-level warriors had become bodies under Yimo's sword light. They couldn't even defend themselves. Although Yimo's attack was a sudden one, he still killed 4 with it. This scared Song Hai so much that his legs started to shake. He really didn't expect Yimo to be this strong. It seemed Dongfang Shi didn't overestimate him, but instead underestimated him. Song Hai wanted to escape, but his legs shook so much that he couldn't even walk. Li Mingqiang saw Yimo kill 4 with 1 slash and knew he underestimated Yimo. He was definitely stronger than him. Thinking about this, he didn't dare to drift off with his mind. He took out the whip from his waist and surrounded Yimo with the other 2 yellow-level peak stage fighters. Li Mingqiang's whip shook, becoming a series of whip shadows surrounding Yimo. The 2 yellow-level masters behind Yimo also attacked Yimo with their curved swords without hesitation. Although Li Mingqiang's whip was countless grades better than that Hu Qiu, it was still a far cry from Daoxian. Yimo didn't even use Wind Blade and just brought up his sword. Strike, strike, strike. He slashed out many times. His chi was plenty and had a long sword in his hand, so it was so much easier than when he fought Daoxian. Li Mingqiang actually blocked 6 strikes from Yimo before there was the sound of his whip breaking. Yimo then broke another curved sword, slicing one of the men Dongfang Shi brought in half. Fresh blood spewed out, and Yimo took a few steps back to prevent the blood from dripping on his body. Seeing this bloody scene, Song Hai's leg curved. He couldn't resist anymore and vomited. He had killed people and interrogated people, but he had never seen such a bloody scene. Luckily, Yimo didn't bring Tang Beiwei here. He stared coldly at Li Mingqiang, who was a little stunned. There was full of coldness and killing intent in his eyes. Li Mingqiang looked at the half of a whip he had in his hands. He didn't have the composure he had initially. Although Yimo killed 4 yellow levels at the start, he felt he could also barely do it. But now, he felt he couldn't defeat Yimo at all. This Yimo was too strong, and Li Mingqiang felt regret for the first time. When Yimo killed the first 4, he sliced his sword across their throat and the scene wasn't so bloody, but now, one was cut in half by him. The remaining yellow-level master looked at his bloodied companion with a pale face. After half a beat, he suddenly threw away his curved sword and turned to run. Yimo didn't even look and just casually swiped a wind blade at him. The man's legs were immediately sliced off and convulsed non-stop on the ground. "If you can let me go, Li Mingqiang was scared. He had never seen someone as strong as Yimo. He had lost the will to fight. Yimo sneered. No matter how Li Mingqiang begged for mercy, he never planned on letting them go. Before Li Mingqiang finished his sentence, Yimo's sword sliced again and Li Mingqiang's voice suddenly stopped. He was decapitated. The yellow-level fighter who had his legs cut off kept convulsing. He looked up and saw Yimo cut off Li Mingqiang's head. Under such great fear, he actually took out his knife and stabbed it into his heart. The yellow-level fighter who had his legs cut off kept convulsing. He looked up and saw Yimo cut off Li Mingqiang's head. Under such great fear, he actually took out his knife and stabbed it into his heart. Yimo didn't bother with him and just stared coldly at Song Hai as he walked slowly towards him. Song Hai's face became bloodless. He was full of regrets. He regretted coming with Dongfang Shi. He even regretted not persuading the leader to not mess with Yimo. But now, it was all over. Yimo wasn't a person. He was a demon. Looking at the bloodied scene, he couldn't resist the waves of shock in his heart. Just how many people has he killed? Don't kill me. I'll tell you everything. Seeing Yimo walk over, Song Hai's tone was of extreme terror. If he had another option, he would rather leave the Song family and hide than to go against Yimo. No need. I will make you speak the truth. Then, Yimo tapped on Song Hai's forehead. Song Hai's manner immediately became soulless and dumb. Then, Yimo coldly said, "Tell me everything about the Song family's plan." Yes. Song Hai didn't struggle at all. After the taxi drove to the foot of Wuliang Mountain and a bit in, no matter how Tang Beiwei requested, the taxi driver wasn't willing to drive 1 meter further. Tang Beiwei knew that the driver was probably scared since it was night. But luckily, it was probably about half an hour walk ahead. Tang Beiwei didn't force the driver, got off the car and ran into the mountains. The driver didn't know what a girl was doing this late in a barren place like the Wuliang Mountain, but this wasn't something he could be concerned with. He quickly turned around and left with his greatest speed. 40 minutes later, Tang Beiwei came up from the mountain roads breathing heavily. She went into the side of the forest. After running into the forest, the silence of the night made her scared. The feral cats and nocturnal birds' cries scared her. She didn't dare to stay and walked faster and faster. However, she didn't have Yimo's capabilities and fell over many times after only walking a few hundred meters. Crack! There was the sound of a branch breaking. Tang Beiwei stopped subconsciously. Under the faint moonlight, a black shadow ran over. Tang Beiwei's skin was tingling. There was a black shadow in the forest at night? She was so scared she didn't dare to move. But the black shadow stopped 5 or 6 meters in front of her. It was a humanoid figure, very skinny and had a goatee. He seemed very out of shape. There was someone up there this late? However, she looked on the ground and saw a shadow. Since there was a shadow, it meant it was a person, not a ghost. Tang Beiwei calmed down a little and stared at the shadow but didn't talk. Dongfang Shi was about to reach the mountain roads, but he actually saw a girl this late in the woods. He was indeed frightened quite a bit when he saw Tang Beiwei, but he immediately recognized her. It was Tang Beiwei. Dongfang Shi rejoiced. Yimo, that bastard, almost made him die. He finally ran and survived. Today, he was finally able to take something back. Even though Tang Beiwei was a woman, her ability to make it hear from the hotel meant that she had a few tricks. Dongfang she wouldn't be careless facing against someone like her. He didn't even think and pulled out the gun and fired twice at her. He didn't want to kill her immediately. He will torture her to death and let Yemo know what happened to her. Tang Beiwei saw Dongfang Shi and took a breath of relief upon realizing he wasn't a ghost. She was confused why this person was running in the mountains this late at night, but suddenly, Dongfang Shi fired twice at her. Tang Beiwei didn't even have time to react and saw a faint yellow barrier erect in front of her. But immediately, the barrier broke. Just when Tang Beiwei wanted to see what happened, there was another barrier. 5 or 6 broke before 2 bullets fell in front of her. Tang Beiwei finally realized at this moment that the person opened fire. She didn't have time to think how the bullet didn't hit her. She just subconsciously grabbed a rock from the ground and threw it. Dongfang Shi fired twice and knew Tang Beiwei was meat in his hands, but he didn't expect the 2 shots to miss. When he reacted, Tang Beiwei's stone was coming over. Smash! It hit right on Dongfang Shi's face. Dongfang Shi clearly heard his nose break. His eyes were blurred as he raised his gun and fired again while covering his face with his hand. The 3rd shot didn't affect Tang Beiwei at all. However, Tang Beiwei thought of the light before and it came from her necklace. She looked down and saw the glow was dimmer. It wasn't as pretty as when Yemo gave it to her. Tang Beiwei was extremely angry and threw another 2 rocks at Dongfang Shi. At this moment, she had completely forgotten she had fireball charms. She was just angry this man broke her necklace. One hit his forehead and another hit his arm. Dongfang Shi yelled and felt viscous blood flow down. The hand holding the gun was hit and the gun flew onto the ground uncontrollably. Tang Beiwei looked at Dongfang Shi who squatted on the ground and kicked onto his head. The skinny Dongfang Shi was kicked over and struggled to get up. Tang Beiwei picked up the gun and now remembered she had fireball charms. She took out one but shook her head. If she used that, this guy was already a goner. As such, she didn't use one and just beat him down. This way, she managed to save a fireball charm. She felt her necklace again. Tang Beiwei's heart was bleeding. Her brother finally gave her a good necklace, and it was ruined like this by the bastard. So brother's necklace could protect her. Otherwise, Tang Beiwei thought of the 2 gunshots and didn't dare to think the consequences. This guy was too bad. She must not let him go. She didn't even know him, and he was going to kill her. Tang Beiwei picked up the gun and aimed it at Dongfang Shi ready to fire. Tang Beiwei never shot a gun before, but she knew it was easy. She only had to pull the trigger. Bang! Tang Beiwei realized her shot went wide. At this moment, Dongfang Shi flipped over and sat up. He also woke up under the gunfire and looked at the pistol in her hands. There was terror in his eyes and he quickly said, "Girl, don't fire. I didn't see clearly just then. I thought it was something else, so I fired." That was a misunderstanding. A complete misunderstanding. Think about it. How would I know there was people here this late at night? Tang Beiwei frowned. Did he really not see it? Seeing Tang Beiwei frown and her gun was slanting down, Dongfang Shi felt relieved and quickly said, "It really is a misunderstanding. I'm lost and have been going around the mountain in circles. May I ask how to get out of here?" Tang Beiwei looked at Dongfang Shi's eyes. It was calm and he didn't seem to be lying. However, who would be out here this late at night? This was quite strange. Tang Beiwei suddenly remembered this road lead to that canyon. Was it someone her brother missed? She subconsciously looked at Dongfang Shi's eyes again. It was too calm. This wasn't right. She learned acting before. Although it was very easy at that time, was he not scared of the gun when she was pointing it at him? His eyes should be scared a little, right? However, she didn't see it at all. She then looked at Dongfang Shi's hands. They seemed to be moving slowly as though trying to support himself up. But Tang Beiwei already had the preconceived opinion that he escaped from her brother. She walked a few steps in and pointed the gun at Dongfang Shi's hand and fired. It was this close that Tang Beiwei didn't miss hitting Dongfang Shi right in the arm. Crank! A knife fell to the ground. Tang Beiwei immediately knew she was right. This guy was bad and almost killed her. Dongfang Shi's face immediately became pale. He didn't think Tang Beiwei would fire again. The knife in his hand fell. He originally wanted to stab her when she came to help him up, but now he felt worried. This girl was really fierce. He didn't know that since Tang Beiwei was so pretty, she acted very fierce to stop people advancing on her. Don't shoot. I was telling the truth. Although Dongfang, she was still trying to trick Tang Beiwei, but his eyes weren't as calm as before. Okay, I won't fire, Tang Beiwei said and took a few steps forward. Dongfang, she felt relieved but stared deadly at Tang Beiwei. As soon as she came near, he would take the gun from her. However, when Tang Beiwei was about 2 meters from him, she stopped and fired again at Dongfang Shi's knee. Arg! You stupid B*T. Diangfang, she didn't expect Tang Beiwei, who was so kind, just then to be so nasty. Tang Beiwei ignored him and fired again at his leg, thinking that this pistol was really easy to use. However, she pulled the trigger many times, and there was no reaction. She immediately understood she was out of bullets. She put the gun in her pocket and took out a fireball charm but took a few steps back. B***. You are so sinister. Dongfang, she saw there was no more bullets and finally felt relieved, but he was still thinking about how to kill Tang Beiwei. B***. You are so sinister. Dongfang, she saw there was no more bullets and finally felt relieved, but he was still thinking about how to kill Tang Beiwei. Tang Beiwei picked up another rock and smashed it towards Dongfang, she's other leg. You bad thing, you think I don't know who you are? You are with Wei Yongqian, and you broke my necklace, I'll smash you. Dongfang, she wanted to avoid the stone, but he was so close to Tang Beiwei, and he was heavily injured now, so he couldn't dodge it at all. The stone hit his leg, making him sweat with pain. You stinking B***tch, just wait till when I tell you who you are to Yimo. You will be happier, haha. Dongfang Shi's face looked hideous and sinister due to laughter and extreme pain. He knew it was very hard to run away today. Insolent woman. How could she compare him to a trash like Wei Yongqian? Dongfang Shi cruelly said, You filthy wretch, hitting me so cruelly. I've been a hero for all my life, but am I to die in a woman's hand? In that case, I might as well die in Yimo's hands. Tang Beiwei picked up a rock again and looked at Dongfang Shi with alert. The reason she hadn't killed this person was because she wanted to ask from him, how was Yimo now? Seeing Dongfang Shi's wretched cursing, she raised the rock in her hand. Tell me what happened to Yimo? Haha. Dongfang Shi laughed hysterically. You filthy L***T. You're so evil that you won't even let your own brother go. Do you know who Yimo is? He's your brother. Are you very happy now? You seduced your brother. Ha ha ha. It's satisfying even if I die, haha. Dongfang Shi's laugh suddenly stopped. Tang Beiwei looked at him in pity, but there was no despair and desolation in her eyes. There was only irony and contempt. Tang Beiwei originally couldn't bear beating him up like this, but after hearing his words, she knew how easy she went on him. She should have been harder. This wasn't a person anymore. It was an animal. You don't believe me? Dongfang, she saw there was nothing on Tang Beiwei's face. He even forgot his pinas. A bad feeling came over him. Tang Beiwei looked at him in pity. You want to say I went in bed with my brother, and you're happy? Unfortunately, you will be disappointed. My brother knew I was his sister as soon as he saw me. You scum. I really don't know what your parents are like, creating such an anomaly. Dongfang, she was so angry that he actually spat out blood. Before he said anything, Tang Beiwei smashed the stone on his head. Before Dongfang she lost his consciousness, he heard, Idiot. If it wasn't because you let me find my brother, I will burn you to dust immediately. Seeing Dongfang she was knocked out, Tang Beiwei finally felt relieved. This guy was too evil. So he was the one who thought of this evil plan. She originally thought it was a coincidence that she met with her brother, but it was actually this animal's idea. Luckily, her brother recognized her. Otherwise, Tang Beiwei shivered. She didn't dare to keep thinking. It was the first time she was so cruel to someone, but she didn't feel bad at all. Yi Mo burned Song Hai to dust with a fireball as well as the other bodies. Then, he looked at the end of the canyon. According to Song Hai, there should be a metal chain bridge. Dongfang Shi's plan was to trick him in and let him fight with the hidden sect people. Song Qiming, Dongfang Shi. Yi Mo muttered these two names. There was full of killing intent in his eyes. Since they wanted to ambush him, then don't blame him for total annihilation. If Yemo was still stage 2, he would still have some concerns, but now, he didn't need to at all. However, Dongfang Shi would have never thought that even if he changed the person, he still wouldn't be able to ambush Yemo. As long as Yemo walked into this canyon, his spirit sense would be able to scan what was on the two sides of the canyon. Dongfang Shi underestimated him too much. Whatever sinister plan it was worthless in the wake of absolute power. Yemo once again felt that he should increase his power. Improve his power? Yemo looked at the end of the canyon. Since there was an auction, should he go in and see? Who knows if there will be something he needs in the hidden sect auction. Last time, he just went to a social night and got a space abyss rock. This auction would definitely be more fruitful. But how was he going to enter? According to Songhai, the guards were 2 halfway Earth-level masters. Then, wouldn't there be people stronger than Earth-level there? This wasn't it. Since he was going to buy, he needed money, but he only had tens of thousands left. This wasn't enough for anything. Regardless, he needed to go. Ever since he found the 1,000-year snow lotus seed and face-preserving fruit, he no longer underestimated Earth. Perhaps there was really things he needed. Worst comes to worst, he would go back and make some artifacts and a few face-preserving pills. Today's slaughter was satisfying, but Dongfang Shi ran away. Yemo was very uncomfortable. Dongfang Shi was like a venomous snake. If Dongfang Shi knew Tang Beiwei was his sister and still let her seduce him, then he was too malevolent. He would go back and take away Tang Beiwei first. Yemo didn't choose to go into the canyon. He just walked a few steps and his phone started vibrating. It was Tang Beiwei. Yemo quickly picked up. "Brother, I caught Dongfang Shi. I'm not far from the exit of the road. What do I do?" Tang Beiwei's voice sounded. "What? She actually caught Dongfang 11. Yemo yelled out in joy. "Don't go. Stay there and wait for me. This Dongfang Shi is very useful to me." Hearing this, Tang Beiwei felt as though she ate honey. She could finally help her brother. When Yemo arrived, Dongfang Shi just woke up. He saw Yemo come over and his eyes were faint. He knew he was a goner. "Brother." Tang Beiwei looked at Dongfang Shi nervously. She was scared that with the slightest carelessness, this guy would ran away, and because of that, she kept all her attention to him. Yemo walked over, took another mini pistol from Dongfang Shi's leg, and then said, "Beiwei, why did you come here?" "Huh, he still has a gun. I was almost tricked by him." Tang Beiwei looked in shock while Yemo took another gun. She also gave the pistol in her pocket to Yemo. "This guy is very cunning. Luckily, you weren't tricked by him." Yemo then looked at the necklace on Tang Beiwei's chest which seemed faint. He frowned and said, "He attacked you?" Tang Beiwei nodded and told everything that had happened from the hotel till now. Yemo then turned to look at Dongfang Shi with even colder eyes. This guy was like a snake. Luckily, he fell in his hands today, otherwise, he really wouldn't be able to sleep. "Mr. Yi, as long as you let me go, I'm willing to be your servant. You also know that I only tried to fight because we were on different sides. As long as I serve you, I will live by your words." Dongfang Shi was completely full of despair after Yemo took away his gun. Before Yemo spoke, Tang Beiwei quickly said, "Brother, don't trust him. He's purely evil. He opened fire on me as soon as he saw me, and he knew we were siblings but still used such an evil plan." Yemo's eyes grew bleaker. His guess was right. This Dongfang Shi really knew Tang Beiwei was his sister. This man was scary like a snake. Yemo walked over and kicked Dongfang Shi's other hand broken. Then, he said to Dongfang Shi, "I will make you die slowly. I'm not interested in having a wild dog that lost its humanity to serve me." Dongfang Shi's eyes hardened and immediately said, "Yemo, if you have guts, then give me a quick one. I know a lot of things. If you give me a quick one, I will tell you everything." Yemo raised his hand and patted on Dongfang Shi's head. He then pointed at the center of his eyebrows and coldly said, "No need. I have ways to make you talk." Dongfang Shi struggled a little, but soon turned doll-like. Yemo looked at him and asked, "Tell me, why are you ambushing me? How many of North Sand's base do you know? Where are they? What other purpose do you have this time?" Dongfang Shi numbly spoke, "I only know the Asian base. It's in Vietnam. White-tail groove, I don't know anything else. This time, I came to get back the Space Sunflower Design Map. Space Sunflower Design Map? Yemo immediately remembered the model Wen Dong gave him. Thinking about Wen Dong, he wondered if she had recovered. He wanted to get the map, and now he learned that North Sand hid very deep. Even Dongfang she didn't know a lot of things. It seemed they were just using each other, but Yemo didn't care. He only needed Dongfang she to know the location, and he would kill them all. Yemo continued asking, "How did you know I was siblings with Tang Beiwei?" Screech, a sharp sound interrupted Dongfang Shi's reply, and there was struggle in his eyes. He actually woke up and looked at Yemo in terror. He started rubbing his teeth against each other as fast as he could. Screech, a sharp sound interrupted Dongfang Shi's reply, and there was struggle in his eyes. He actually woke up and looked at Yemo in terror. He started rubbing his teeth against each other as fast as he could. A gush of black blood spilled out from Dongfang Shi's mouth. Yemo immediately knew it wasn't good. Dongfang Shi actually woke up at the last minute. This wasn't it. He had poison in his mouth. Just when Yemo wanted to save him, Dongfang Shi already died. Even his skin color changed black. Such potent poison, Yemo sighed. He had never seen such a poison, and with his current power, and there was no way he could save Dongfang Shi unless he made Lotus Life Pill. Brother, he killed himself? Tang Beiwei also saw that Dongfang Shi had died. Yemo nodded and burnt Dongfang Shi with a fireball before saying, "It's too easy for him to die like this." But a nocturnal bird interrupted us. If it wasn't for that bird, I would have known everything else, but that doesn't matter. Brother, you really gave me Dao magic charms? There really are fireballs, and my necklace was broken, Tang Beiwei said. MHM, everything is fine as long as you're okay. I'll help you refine your necklace later. Let's go first. We might come back here tomorrow. Yemo thought tomorrow was the auction. Tang Beiwei felt warm at heart, thinking it was really good to have a big brother. She gave the remaining fireball charms to Yemo and said, "I still have a few left. Keep it for self-defense. I'll still need to make some other things tonight." Yemo pushed it back and thought before saying, "Don't tell anyone about this, okay?" Tang Beiwei affirmatively said, "I know. Don't worry, brother. I won't tell anyone." "Brother, I want to go back and see my mom. Are we coming here again tomorrow?" Yemo nodded and said, "Tomorrow's thing is very important to me. I have to come. I will treat your mum, don't worry. Let's find a place to stay first. You walk too slow. I'll carry you." Despite Yemo carrying Tang Beiwei, it was almost 12 a.m. by the time they walked to the nearest hotel. Yemo told Tang Beiwei to sleep early since he needed to make something. Beijing Song family. The most worried person was Song Qiming. Song Hai and Dongfang Shi had no news ever since they went. And Dongfang Shi said they brought the plan forward. It was already daylight now, but they didn't receive any news. He couldn't contact anyone on Wuliang Mountain. Song Qiming, with bloodshot eyes, had a bad feeling. He felt that something must have happened to Song Hai. His heart skipped thinking about this. If something happened to Song Hai, it meant Yemo was fine. If Yemo was fine, it meant that he would come to Beijing tomorrow and exact revenge on the Song family. If it was a normal person, the Song family wouldn't be scared at all, but Yemo was a madman. He wouldn't even care about the laws of the country. Plus, even if the government could intervene, Yemo would still go on a carnage and the Song family people wouldn't even be enough for him to kill. If Yemo was coming back, there was an 8 a.m. flight to Beijing. What to do? Song Qiming had now regretted challenging Yemo's bottom line again and again. Just when Song Qiming was being restless in his office, Song Yuni walked in. "Dad." Song Qiming stood up nervously. Song Yuni sighed. "Since you did it, don't be scared. He doesn't have 3 heads and 6 arms. Our Song family have been passed down for nearly a century. It isn't something a mere Yemo can destroy unless he disregards the law." Song Qiming's worried looks regressed a little, but still worriedly asked, "What do we do now? Should we report immediately?" Song Yunei shook his head. "It's useless. Yemo is the head instructor of the special forces. Even if he isn't, the old guy from the Yi family would use tricks. As such, we still need to rely on ourselves. Yemo hasn't attacked us yet. If he does, we would suffer heavily even if get support from above. With his power to kill O family's tiger and Li Mingqiang, it wouldn't be hard for him to kill all of us before reinforcement comes. Song Qiming's face was full of regret. I am to blame. If I didn't let Shaowen so loose, this wouldn't happen. Song Yuanyi waved his hand. You are not to blame. Why would a direct grandson of our Song family need to worry if he wants a woman? We just didn't expect Yemo to be an ancient martial arts cultivator and was so strong. Song Hai still has no news. You don't need to wait for him. Something must have happened already. This Dongfang, she doesn't live up to his name. We overestimated him. Song Qiming sneered. He regretted completely listening to Dongfang Shi's words. Song Yuanyi shook his head. There shouldn't have been a problem with his plan. Something just happened in between. There must be another reason. It's not the time to be fussing over this. We need to face Yemo's wrath when he comes back. Song Yuanyi frowned. His eldest son did quite well being the leader of the family all these years, but faced with the life and death of the family, he was indecisive. He thought for a while before saying, I'll go back and find my bro for help. If he can come talk to Yemo, it should be enough for Yemo to let us go once. But this isn't a fail-proof plan. I'm not sure if Yemo will listen to old bro's words. So you need to act. If I'm not wrong, the problem should be on Tang Beiwei. Song Qiming also thought Dongfang Shi choosing Tang Beiwei was very strange. Then, his father continued, I've seen Tang Beiwei's picture. She's indeed pretty, but I don't believe we can't find someone prettier in Beijing. And I know she's your daughter. What's the meaning of using your daughter as a spy when he's cooperating with you? Is there some other reason in here? Dad. Song Qiming looked down in guilt. Although he knew his dad knew about this, he didn't bring it up. He didn't expect his dad to bring it up. Song Yuanyi sighed. I'm not blaming you. However, when you do things in the future, you need to clean up the trails. How could an outsider know about this? You need to investigate Tang Jin, and you need to go visit her personally. If Tang Beiwei really managed to have something with Yemo, then she would be a breakthrough point. If we want Tang Beiwei's help, you need to do work on Tang Jing. Since that Tang Beiwei could accept this deal for her mother, this means her mother is very important for her. I understand. Song Qiming admired his father's eyes, finding the key point immediately. Song Yuanyi nodded. Most importantly, immediately hold a family meeting. Tell them to disperse. Those who can leave the country, leave tomorrow morning. Those who can't go to the ends of the country, leave the main members. And, I need to go see Yi Beirong and Ning Fujian. Even if we pay a heavy price, we need to overcome this disaster. Song Qiming looked at his father in surprise. He didn't expect the family had to be dispersed in order to overcome this. Hurry up, the other things are outside things. As long as the family doesn't fall, we will get it back. Seeing Song Qiming was still hesitating, Song Yuanyi immediately reproached. Yes, father. Song Qiming knew that as Yemo was getting stronger and stronger, the Song family no longer had the power to fight with him. After a busy night, Yemo finally made 6 face-preserving pills and 3 lotus life pills by 9 a.m. in the morning. Yemo sighed. His power was too low, and he wasted too much material. This was even with the help of Shen Nong Cauldron. If he didn't have this cauldron, he would waste more. Brother. Seeing Yemo stand up, Tang Beiwei rushed over. Although she knew Yemo had great metaphysical power, she saw with her own eyes that her brother hadn't slept for a few nights, so she was very worried. Yemo smiled and waved his hand. I'm fine. Eat this pill. I've refined your necklace. Wear it. Then, Yemo gave her the face-preserving pill and the necklace. What pill is this? Tang Beiwei took the pill, and it smelled very refreshing. It's called face-preserving pill. You won't age after eating it. Eat it. Yemo knew appearance was very important to women. Since he had 6 face-preserving pills, he wouldn't be stingy. Huh. Tang Beiwei took the pill with shaky hands. She would never believe this before, but now, she trusted Yemo wholeheartedly. A pill that could preserve her looks? The price, she didn't dare to think. Yemo knew what Tang Beiwei was thinking and casually said, Eat it, I still have a lot more. Tang Beiwei suddenly felt a warm feeling flow in her heart. Although she wasn't sure Yemo was her brother, but seeing he could give something as valuable as this to her meant that he really treated her as a little sister. Although she knew Yemo wouldn't lie to her, Tang Beiwei was still shocked by the effects of the face-preserving pill. After eating it and taking another shower, even Tang Beiwei couldn't believe she changed so much. Although she knew Yemo wouldn't lie to her, Tang Beiwei was still shocked by the effects of the face-preserving pill. After eating it and taking another shower, even Tang Beiwei couldn't believe she changed so much. Before eating the pill, she was a top-grade pretty girl, but now, she thought she had become a goddess. Was the girl in the mirror really her? She couldn't even imagine. Her skin was pearly white, and her already perfect face was smoother. Brother, this pill is really magical. Tang Beiwei ran out and yelled in joy. Yemo smiled and said, "Of course, you think it's easy to make? Although it's not very complicated, but one of the materials is very precious." "Thank you, brother." Tang Beiwei ran in front of Yemo, then hugged him and kissed him. No girl didn't like beauty. Tang Beiwei was no exception. She was really grateful that her brother gave her that pill. Yemo patted Tang Beiwei's head and said, "Beiwei, I need to go in the mountain again. Wait for me here." He wanted to go to the auction but knew he wasn't from the hidden sects, and thus wasn't sure if he could go in. It would be inconvenient to bring Tang Beiwei. She nodded and said, "I know, brother. I want to go see Mom today." Yemo thought it would make Tang Beiwei quite worried for her to wait here by herself, so he took a bottle and gave it to Tang Beiwei. "Give your mother the medicine in this bottle, and wait for me to come back and cure her." Tang Beiwei agreed and took the bottle. "I'm at Tan Du Shi Fan Uni. If you come, just go to the English campus to find me." "Okay, after I'm done with the things over here, I will go find you. Remember, if that Wei Yongqian does anything to you, just burn him with the fireball. If anything happens, I will take the blame for you," Yemo said. Tang Beiwei felt very warm from her brother's concern but was still shocked by Yemo's words. No one could escape killing people in the city, but she knew her brother was doing it for her good and didn't argue. Yemo sent Tang Beiwei on the taxi before heading back to that canyon. After entering the forest, Yemo kept seeing some strange people. They rarely talked to each other. Yemo thought these people were probably all going to the auction. He wanted to ask someone around but found everyone was very careful and discreet. Many people used black masks to cover their face. Yemo cursed. It was just a mere hidden sect auction, but they made it like the cultivation realm. However, he thought that he was only stage 3, so he also took out a black cloth and covered his face. After entering the canyon, Yemo found that most of the people at the auction were yellow and black level. There were a few earth level masters, but compared to black level, there were very little. This made Yemo feel relieved. He was only one line from tertiary stage of stage 3 Qi gathering. Once he reached that level, he would have the confidence to fight with earth-level masters. Just when Yemo entered the canyon, he saw a circle of people watching something, so he also squeezed over. When he came in, he saw a familiar person. It was the girl whom he cut one arm off, but this girl's arm was reattached. There was a beautiful serene-looking nun beside her who only looked in her 30s. He didn't expect this girl to appear here. She was working with Lang Ji for Qin Longtu before, and her flying swords were quite good. Was she also formed the hidden sects? Regardless, Yemo had no interest to care. As long as they didn't annoy him, otherwise, he wouldn't be so easy to mess with. Next time, it wouldn't just be an arm but becoming ash. Yemo focused his attention in the circle. 2 men were at a standoff. One was yellow level tertiary stage, and the other one was black level tertiary level. Their difference in power was too great. The yellow level person already had a slash mark on his chest, and the blood kept flowing. It was obvious that the two were fighting. "Su Ping, you're just a solitary ghost. How dare you fight over things with me? You ran last time, but if you don't hand it this time, this place will be your burial ground." The black level man sneered. Su Ping wiped the blood from his mouth and said, "You're so shameless. Just because you're from Broken Fist Hall, you think you can do whatever you want? I found the red meteor first, and I got it first. What right do you have to take it?" Shameless. Everyone had understood now. It was definitely because the Broken Fist Hall man wanted someone else's thing and wanted to rob it from him. No one would believe that a yellow-level fighter would try to rob from a black-level warrior. Yemo heard the name Broken Fist Hall and frowned. This name was so familiar. At this moment, the black-level tertiary stage man walked forward and punched Su Ping on the chest. Su Ping spat out more blood. A bag had fallen into the Broken Fist Hall's man's hands from his chest. Although everyone witnessed this happen, no one wanted to go up and say something fair. Yemo scanned the thing in the bag and was shocked. That wasn't some red meteor, but instead it was a star jade. Star jade was very rare even in the cultivation realm. That was something strong people fought over. It could be used to make extreme-grade spirit artifacts. Star jade was very hard to form. It was formed from meteor that had undergone countless modifications by space-time. The redder the star jade was, the higher the grade was. This jade was already red, meaning that it was very high quality. Yemo's eyes went cold. He had to get this star jade no matter what. With that, his flying sword could be forged. But what excuse was he going to make to rob this? Looking at Su Ping on the ground, Yemo thought and walked out. He helped Su Ping up and gave him a medical pill, saying, "Friend, eat this first. I don't believe there is no justice in this world." Su Ping took the pill and looked gratefully at Yemo. "Thanks, brother. I'm Su Ping. But you have no business here, move aside. That man is Zheng Chengza. He's from the Broken Fist Hall." It was obvious that Su Ping was implying Yemo couldn't mess with the Broken Fist Hall. Yemo smiled. No matter how strong the sect was, he wouldn't pass the Star Jade. If he could use the Star Jade to make his flying sword, he would be able to kill Earth-level masters. He didn't believe a mere Broken Fist Hall was full of Earth-level masters. Broken Fist Hall. Yemo suddenly remembered that he got a dagger from killing Otanhu, and the dagger had the words Broken Fist. So that was it. Yemo knew that Otanhu and Zheng Chengza were in the same group. In that case, the Broken Fist Hall would come looking for him sooner or later. Thus, he might as well kill one first. Thinking about this, Yemo's killing intent rose. Punk. Justice is in the hands of the strong. F***ck off. Our Broken Fist Hall's matter is not something you can intervene with. Zheng Chengza saw there was someone helping Su Ping. Someone so young with a covered face. This caused him to become immediately angry. Yemo slowly stood up and coldly looked at Zheng Chengza before saying heroically, "I like to intervene in things I don't see right. Broken Fist Hall? Very strong? I'm going to intervene today. What are you gonna do?" Then, Yemo felt a little guilty. Su Ping was not a bad person, but he used him. Although he did it for the Star Jade, Yemo's words immediately got the agreement of the surrounding people. It was obvious Zheng Chengza's overruling actions had made people unhappy, but no one said anything. Now that Yemo came out to say something, people immediately conformed. Zheng Chengza coldly looked around before glaring at Yemo and Su Ping and said, "You two are lucky today. Don't make me see you again." Then, he turned to leave. Yemo came for the Star Jade today, and saving Su Ping was just a part of the package. How could he let the main thing escape? He didn't even think and stopped Zheng Chengza. "You want to go? Stop dreaming. You think you can leave after taking other people's thing? Punk, you want to die." Zheng Chengza was really angry now. Although he was annoyed that Yemo saved Su Ping, he got the thing so he didn't care. Now that he wanted to leave, this insolent punk dared to stop him. Zheng Chengza didn't even think and swung with the long sword he pulled out from his back. However, Yemo didn't dare to block with his long sword because he couldn't expose that he had a storage ring. Second, he knew that sword was troublesome. If people knew Bien Po's sword was on him, he would be the primary suspect. Without a weapon to use, Yemo wanted a flying sword even more. In a moment's time, Zheng Chengza's sword was already in front of Yemo. People couldn't bear to look. After all, Yemo was only in his 20s. Even if he learnt martial arts at a very young age, and even if he was extremely talented, he could only be yellow level at most. How could he be a match for Zheng Chengza? However, Yemo didn't care about that much. He locked Zheng Chengza's sword with his spirit sense and struck out with his fist. No one dared to believe that Yemo dared to fight a long sword with his fist. Everyone thought Emo was crazy. With the clash of fist and sword, there was no sound of flesh being sliced, but instead a metallic clank. Zhang Cheng's long sword was smashed into the ground, while he himself was forced multiple steps back. With the clash of fist and sword, there was no sound of flesh being sliced, but instead a metallic clank. Zhang Cheng's long sword was smashed into the ground, while he himself was forced multiple steps back. Emo's hand was perfectly fine, and at this moment, Emo followed up with another kick on Zhang Cheng's dantian. He flew many meters out and smashed onto a distant boulder as he spat out blood. It was obvious he couldn't survive this. Then, Emo walked in front of Zhang Chengza and took the bag from his chest. Everyone took a cold breath. Zhang Chengza was someone who cultivated ancient martial arts to black-level tertiary stage, but he only lasted 2 moves in Emo's hands. This youth was too ferocious. Although Zhang Chengza underestimated Emo, he wouldn't last more than 20 moves even if he didn't. So strong. But he started feud with the Broken Fist Hall. Although it wasn't some first-grade sect, it still had an Earth-level master. Most people didn't know how Emo knocked the sword away with his fist, but 2 of the Earth-level masters saw clearly. Emo smashed his fist accurately on the flat surface of the sword. The 2 compared themselves and felt even if they fought Zhang Chengza, they wouldn't be able to win so easily. This young man was excessively strong, and they couldn't even tell which sect he came from. The girl who had her arm severed by Emo looked at Emo before saying to her pretty nun master in a low voice, "Master, I seem to have seen him somewhere, but I just can't remember." The nun immediately reproached, "Zishu, don't say random things. It's very hard for us to come in here." Emo gave the bag to Su Ping and said, "Brother Su, this is yours." He was thinking of how he would trade it over later. However, Su Ping pushed and said, "Brother got into conflict with the Broken Fist Hall due to me, so I feel really bad. This thing isn't really useful to me, and your power is higher than me. As such, I'll just give it to you. I haven't asked for your name." Emo came for this star jade, and hearing these words, he didn't try to act polite. He took the jade and took out another defensive jade. This is a defensive magic artifact. It's far as valuable as your meteor. So if I get the chance in the future, I will pay you back properly. I'm Emo-ing." Emo didn't dare to act cocky here. Everyone had some sort of background here. Although he was confident, he wasn't confident enough to ignore everyone here. Su Ping took the jade and laughed. "Brother Emo, you're being too polite. It's my luck to be able to get to know a friend like Brother Emo." However, this also made Brother Emo get into conflict with the Broken Fist Hall, making me very sorry. Emo immediately looked at this Su Ping differently. Not only was he straightforward, but he also didn't fear the Broken Fist Hall. Emo laughed. "The Broken Fist Hall isn't a threat to me. If they dare to harass me again, I don't mind going and annihilating this place." Emo said this purposely. He killed Otanhu and Zhang Chengza, so there was no coexisting between the 2 anymore. Instead of being fearful, he might as well bright the feud to the surface. Plus, as long as he got the Star Jade, he could make his flying sword. Once that was done, his battle power would increase many folds. Right? If the Broken Fist Hall dare to come, us 2 brothers will go slaughter them. Su Ping was also full of heroic feeling. Everyone started to leave seeing there was nothing to watch, and all went into the canyon. Brother Emo also came to participate in the auction. Seeing everyone leave, Su Ping asked. Emo nodded. "I heard there's an auction here, so I came to see what's good." Su Ping dazed and asked, "Don't you have an entry card?" "There's an entry card?" Emo heard this for the first time and asked. Su Ping took out a jade card and said, "Of course, I also spent a lot of effort to get this." Emo took the card and looked. He thought he also had this card. He searched this from Yulian. The number was 37, while Su Ping's card had 101. Is it this sort of jade card? Emo casually took out Yulian's card, thinking that luckily, Jingshi didn't search Yulian's body after killing him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have a card to enter. Su Ping took it and looked. Indeed, that's the right one. Your card is in the front 50, so you can bring an extra person. The numbers after 50, such as me, can only go in by themselves. I didn't know Brother Imo had such a high-level card. In that case, let's go in. Although Su Ping didn't ask, he was sure Yi Imo was an Earth-level master because other than Earth-level masters, only people with high status could have it. The two talked for a while and realized both were solitary cultivators without a sect. Although Yi Imo had a good impression of Su Ping, he still didn't tell everything. After all, Su Ping didn't either. They were all in Jianghu one. Who among them knew each other completely? When they were hot-blooded, they could die together. But when there was conflict of interest, perhaps they would sell each other out. After all, they just met each other. Yi Imo and Su Ping walked past the canyon, went through the metal chain bridge, and entered a long and narrow path. This path was built on the steep wall of the cliff. Looking down, there was no bottom to be seen at all. It was completely shrouded in clouds. It seemed as though they would be blown down by the wind at any moment. Those scared of heights would perhaps faint already. But of those who came to the auction, who would be afraid of heights? Yi Imo wasn't at all. After passing through a few kilometers of small cliffside road, the way opened up in front. There were large packs of trees and brushes seeming very quiet and pretty. At the end of all, that was a tower set up with wood, with the words, Shi Shuang Temple. Yi Imo saw many people hold the jade card and walk in. He knew he had arrived and couldn't help to compliment Dongfang Shi. He didn't even cultivate but had so much information about what went on in here. Yi Imo wondered how this was possible. It seemed that no one should be underestimated. Everyone had their own way. Yi Imo took note of the two men guarding the door. They were both peak stage black level power. According to Song Hai, these two brothers lusted with their life. There were a lot of women here today. He wondered how they would lust, but Yi Imo didn't believe they dared to attack a woman in broad daylight. Yi Imo and Su Ping walked at the back. He knew it was not even 11 a.m., while the auction was starting at 3 p.m. Yi Imo observed careful the two guards, and indeed, their eyes kept circulating on women. Especially when the two nuns from Lian Hangjing Mosque came. They almost drooled. Yi Imo saw the shorter one squeeze one of the nuns' hand when they entered. The nun took her hand back quickly, and the jade card even fell to the ground. She quickly picked it up and pulled the other nun in and didn't talk. Everyone's card was very correct, and people came in a huge line, so the two didn't dare to overdo it. He understood now that regardless of last night or this afternoon, if he and Tang Beiwei came here, they wouldn't see other people. This was because the auction hadn't started last night. Regardless, with the lust of those two, he would be stopped for sure. These two were indeed not good. Yi Imo immediately knew if he and Tang Beiwei were stopped, they were going to have conflict 100%. Dongfang Shi's plan was really malevolent. Luckily, he killed Dongfang Shi. Otherwise, he really wouldn't be able to rest easy. This man kept using evil and insidious plans. It was Yi Imo and Su Ping's turn. Yi Imo handed his card in, and so did Su Ping. The man on the left with the eagle nose felt strange that Yi Imo didn't bring anyone but had a card within 50. Normally, those people with a card within 50 would bring someone in. Although Yi Imo covered his face with a mask, his age was too young. Which sect are you from? The man thought those who had these cards were usually from the bigger sects and the big wealthy corporations in the mortal world. But Yi Imo didn't look like it at all. Yi Imo shook his head. I don't have a sect. The eagle nose studied Yi Imo a bit more. Since Yi Imo didn't have a sect, it meant Yi Imo needed to bribe him, but Yi Imo had no intentions of that at all. His eyes grew cold and said, Where did you steal this card from? Yi Imo was also pissed and coldly said, Do I need to report to you? Why do you care where I got it from? All that matters is that it's real. How dare you? A low-level youngling dare to be so impolite. Your card has unclear history. I will confiscate it. Go back to where you came from. The eagle-nosed man was pissed since so many pretty ladies came today, and he couldn't do much at all. But now, Yi Imo didn't bribe him and was arguing with him. At 1 TL note. Jianghu is another term for society, but more specifically for martial artists and gangsters. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.